Okay, Krakoa, this is fairly even between the two of them, I imagine. We get into our first ban phase here. And yeah, looks like Rad are gonna follow in the footsteps of Virtus Pro and say, absolutely, Ken cannot be John Loki.
Well, let's see if BRR Patapim pries Naga's Human Torch as much as they wanted to deny Fire's. No! Human Torch manages to make it through. See, if you're Rad now, I feel like you might actually prioritize saving the torch early on.
Might be the call here. Letting Naga play that. It's going to be Polly and Pokey. Do you have to ban the Psylocke already, though, is the question.
Like, I think you go Luna, though.
Oh, okay. Makes sense, yeah.
Because the Psylocke will still come through, and then you can save the EMEA so that you can have Carbon Crush to deal with either the Cap or the Psylocke. But BRR Patapim do not get to go into the free ban phase, which means that Human Torch might be off the menu.
Yep. Loki, likely we see Luna taken off the map. To be fair, BRR Patapim don't seem to be overly concerned with going against Luna. I think because they know that they can try and shut down Luna fairly easily, utilizing their own Black Panther in the back pocket. So they often let it go through the ban phase.
Yeah, this is something that we've seen from Rad multiple times over. Fate really prioritizing having that one-sided cloak and dagger, which they utilized against Virtus Pro. And then Virtus Pro started utilizing against every other team that they ran into as well. As Rad now get the opportunity to block a hero banned from BRR Patapim. What is the call to be? Captain America for them. So Rajara is going to be able to run out on that one, though they don't have the Psylocke to back them up.
Oh, question is, do you need to... Yeah, we anticipated a Human Torch ban here, but maybe you have to pivot over to banning a strategist from the enemy. To be fair, I don't know if BRR Patapim are too concerned. They've been getting so much value out of Ken playing Rocket when they're in these weird scenarios.
It's the Adam, though. Rad have been liking to play res composition. BRR Patapim likely going to be trying to force Rad as well into either banning Adam or potentially an Ultron if they've been leaning into watching some of the Asia regions. This is BRR Patapim trying to lead Rad away from banning Pokey's Psylocke, but Rad decide that they'll let the res comp go through one-sided as well on BRR Patapim's side in priority of taking the Psylocke as follow-up from Polly down, and I think that is the correct choice to go for.
Certainly would make some sense. Yeah, getting rid of... You cannot allow the Captain America Psylocke to go through from Polly and Pokey. Still, Pokey's been getting a lot of value thus far out of the Punisher, so this is far from broken here for BRR Patapim. Rad opening up with a fairly confident draft.
Yeah, Rad could potentially pivot too. We saw that the Mantis came out for the side of BRR with that protection. They might play it. They could go for the 12% damage boost to have the better break point and the faster burn through if a Punisher Final Judgment mirror comes out from the side. But Storm is also on the table for both of these teams. We didn't get to see it at all in the previous season, but a lot of these teams in EMEA have been liking to pair the Punisher up with the Storm for the 12% boost off of the Goddess boost cooldown. Rads, however, have been liking to put Melio on the Ultron to be able to pocket the Human Torch with the Imperative Firewall.
That overhealth can be so useful. To roll out, it's going to be Carousel, which is our first map here.
Not the greatest of maps for flyers to come on for, given that there are a lot of annoying ceilings to dodge around, which can put you a little bit too close to an Emma Frost's Carbon Crush. BRR Patapim actually going to be playing Ken on the Rocket Raccoon, which we've seen come through from time to time, just having the BRB to out-sustain Rad's numbers.
Alright, Culling Turret already set up in a very dangerous position, actually forces out the Diamond form. In order to escape the LOS of that Culling Turret was that Aegis took most of the damage. Seems like there's going to be an exchange of fire on the point as BRR Patapim are making a full-bodied rotation over there. Naga just getting constantly suppressed. Does have that Snowflake, though, coming through. Oh, Enzo, great accuracy there. Hits the Iron Volley and the right click as well. The Mad Cannon delivering. Melio's getting super aggressive over here, trying to back up Naga, and it's going to be fully punished by Polly.
Yeah, Rajara is not able to find the inn either currently. They were really trying to box BRR Patapim into a small room with just the fires coming on through from the Human Torch, but it's not to be, and the fight goes now on to point with Brawl. But BRR Patapim have the better numbers, and they've already got the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier built up too. So this is going to be a fast retreat from Rad, an early point cap for BRR Patapim.
Cosmic Yarn Amplifier is going to mean that Crux ult may end up being a little bit aesthetic in terms of the amount of healing it does.
Not if they pair it with Melios, which is a lineup that we traditionally see when the Mantis and the Ultron ult at the same time, so that you can then utilize all of the damage boosts onto both your Human Torch and the Ultron themselves.
Croc already taken down. Tanuki grabs that one early right there. Maybe a feral leap just took them well out of the area of effects of the rest of their roster. Oh, an attempt to try and chase down a Human Torch with a Captain America. It's a little bit ambitious, but it still keeps Naga on notice.
Yeah, Tanuki gets to just take full advantage of the lack of Magneto and also Invis Woman on the side of Rad. Doesn't matter that you're not grabbing a Vanguard, you're separating the Mantis and the Ultron, so Rad couldn't utilize either role in the past.
All right, Supernova from the back half. 4 now. Pokey going to take a lot of damage off the back of this one, but now you've got to hide away. You can't risk taking the fire. However, 2 ultimates already been... Tanuki traced himself out there. Classic from Hell's Heaven. A nice clapback here from Rad. Great understanding of the tempo. Unable to connect onto Melio with the Meteor M there. And Enzo just can't get it done. Alex gets resurrected in the back by the Battle Recall Beacon. And now it's Melio's turn to rain fire. The Rage of Ultron certainly is raining plenty of it. Trying to put that mostly onto the Vanguards. But inside of its invisible boundary, BRR PATAPIM are feeling nice and pretty. The princesses now have their castle broken into by the fate of both worlds, giving Rad a huge amount of space to work with. Still Pokey able to lay down a lot of suppressing fire. That's Naga who's able to deal with it rather quickly, and Rad yet to turn around the control of this point as Enzo just taps in on the edge.
Tanuki's gonna have last stand. Pokey, another final judgment. It's up to the Human Torch to try and clear them off of it, but Tanuki's been able to find the Mantis, and that means no sleep, CC. You can go for the back line, and the entire team just falls under the focus that is the Wolverine. Rad were able at least on the lining to find a cheeky point cap behind them, but it feels like it's just temporary measures.
I forced out the Ice Arts from Fate, meant that there was no CC available in the form of the Absolute Zero to try and stop Tanuki and Polly from running them down. And that was one last chance for Rad to try and contest. I don't know if they're going to be swapping over here onto a Doctor Strange. I don't think they've got the time to try and do so. It's going to be... Oh, what a push onto Rojaro. Alex is on top of things.
Yep, Alex gets the Force Physics to connect onto the Captain America, and Rad get no opportunity to go for the overtime wick. BRR PATAPIM 100, managing to grab Carousel in such a dominant fashion. Rad got about 10%, and that was off of a back cap coming on through when BRR PATAPIM's heads were turned.
Turn your head around and you will get punished for it. BRR PATAPIM, as anticipated, starting off strong here on domination.
There's just no high damage output coming on through from Rad if they don't have the space. If they lose first fight, Melio and Naga on the Ultron and the Human Torch can do nothing into the pressure that Pokey can output on a set up and established Punisher. And it means that for BRR PATAPIM, when Final Judgment came out, they never actually had to utilize a Strategist Ultimate to safeguard it. So even though Rad would run triple Strategists, BRR PATAPIM could still hold on to the Ultimates and match.
Mad if they're able to match those, to be honest. Tanuki getting a bunch of value here, even against very evasive Vanguards. Oh, contemplate it. Naga's safe for now, though.
Yeah, Wolverine, not the greatest opponent into the Human Torch, but he's going to go for the portal to get higher, and he gets the feral grab onto the Human Torch, and Naga is snuffed out like a light.
Oh, holy cinema. Oh, my goodness. The Marvel Studios writers, they're going to be stealing that one away. Tanuki, just a choreographer for future X-Men movies.
You know, sometimes we see some really smart plays around the portals on Cradle. The Atom reses through the portal so that everyone is safe even more than 30 meters away from him. But that one, like you said, was absolute cinema. And it was horrible news for Rad too, because they were relying on the prospect of Supernova stopping BRR PATAPIM from grouping up and helping the Punisher.
Flying? I don't recall asking. Enzo, just able to watch over here. Notice that that teleporter is not active yet. However, hello, a little bit of a tail coming through from Naga. Poki's already received the information that they are going to be under siege. Can, of course, become CC immune by using their final judgment, meaning they're unbothered about the Psionic Seduction. And now it's a big investment coming through from Rad already. They've used both the Psionic Seduction and the Soul Resurgence, but they can't move forward because they're too scared of the damage coming through from the Punisher. A big overwhelming of the Meteor Remedies has to be thrown out quickly before Enzo can really contemplate the target. This Mantis needs some help, though, in the back, and Enzo's happy to put them to bed. A quick sleepy time is given over by the Iron Volley. Naga grabbed yet again. It's got to be so damaging to the mental to constantly have this anti-Vanguard presence knock you down as a flyer. But when it comes to the overall healing in the fight for sustainability, Rad tends to win.
Finally, Rad are in control of the point, and this with that composition should easily be a 50% surpassment. They do have to concern themselves, though, with the damage amplification of the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, as well as the prospect of that last stand, scooping someone out of reach from a defensive ultimate, either from Fate or Rajaro. You're going to be keeping the Punisher at bay, the Pyro Prison zoning Poki's angles out, but he's still trying to build up to the next final judgment as BRR BRR PATAPIM play peel for the Punisher.
Argues disengagement angles may be a little bit limited here if they're not careful. Still has the option to dive on in and do extra damage if need be. That's a big grab coming through from Tanuki. And there we go yet again. Crook and Melio overwhelm the fire, the follow-up. The fire and the flames of Tanuki drags Rad through. And Fate desperately needs to get back on the point here with Fate of both worlds. Healing up the remainder of the team. It's going to be a sustainability gap here in favor of Rad. But Naga once again has been grabbed out from this one. Rajaro manages to chase down Alex. Poki falls as well. And Rad, they hold strong despite the early picks.
Yeah, once Tanuki and Poki go down, the damage potential for BRR BRR PATAPIM plummets exponentially. There's going to be a couple of late picks as well coming on through so that Rad can get as much point percentage as possible from that last fight. Trust me, is going to have Psionic Seduction, so too is Supernova going to be in play. All of that is going to be utilized in reaction to Final Judgment, either before the Punisher gets the opportunity to press the ultimate or when he's midway using it.
Trust me, the Psionic Seduction to try and play with. If Polly goes elsewhere, that means there's only one shield to deal with. Still, the invisible boundary is going to be everything you need to try and survive this one. All eyes onto the battle recall beacon. Naga's going to be prioritizing that one. Melio's in so much danger right now. You are not going to match the damage of the Punisher. Franklin Castle punishes you for the audacity to rage in front of him. That's my Wolverine's job and nobody else's. But when it comes to rage being a raid upon a player, it's Naga who's able to put out the most damage here. Rajaro just domineering over the point. Still has to worry about the freedom charge coming through from Polly. Enzo floats above it all. Might decide to go after the backline, but it's a good dodge away there. Fate's just absolutely flummoxed Enzo here. Naga doing their best to dodge away. Has to deal with the Seer. A lot of extra damage, but it's not going to stay around for long. Fate's finally chased on down. Naga needs to be taken off this angle. A quick poke back from Poki with the teleport. And well, trust me, he's managed to make it onto the point. Should be able to get a carbon crush kick to keep Poki at arm's length. Tanuki needs to be rescued from the auspices of the Captain America. It seems like the target focus right now is starting to fail BRR BRR PATAPIM. Rad are just working the margins, and it's given them time enough here to get the freedom charge.
Rad are coming back. They're trying to hold on to this as long as they possibly can. The freedom charge is stalling. Alex goes down before Invis Boundary can come on through. Fate's about to have potentially another Fate of both worlds too, which is going to land even more stall and build up, trust me, space to push up in the Psionic Seduction. But Tanuki invests the last stand, perfectly catching the Luna before the ultimate comes out.
Okay, Tanuki hits a little bit of hero mode, I have to admit it. Good ult tracking there onto Fate, but it does mean that the counterplay to the Fate of both worlds might be lacking.
Yeah, just prevent the cast from coming on through entirely. Last fight for BRR BRR PATAPIM. Rad at least do still have the Fate of both worlds, and that can be used to amp up the damage coming on through from the Supernova. Looks like they're going to be contemplating about taking that teleport once all of the players are regrouped to potentially find a surprise pick onto BRR BRR PATAPIM's backline.
Oh, once again, grabbed by Tanuki. The jump scares are real, and they can hurt you. Tanuki grabbed up by the Carbon Crush. Extra damage coming through from the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Level 1 Crook won't be long for this world, even with the extra healing coming through from Fate. A choice made, and a choice is good. Melio struck by a surface-to-air missile. An AMRAM from Enzo as he drops the hammer, and BRR BRR PATAPIM claim map 1.
Tanuki's Wolverine might just be a little bit good, you know, just a little. I mean, his ult tracking was perfect in that fight. Just being able to catch Fate before Fate of Bofors can come through, and then hearing the sound cue of the teleporter going off, being able to find a grab onto the Human Torch before Supernova can come into the mix, which would have been used to clear off everyone from BRR PATAPIM off of the point, allowing Rad to stabilize their forces and establish Rajara and Trust Me on the frontline core, so that Pokey and Polly would be called up to have to contest an Estrange into an EMEA in a frontline fight. The Estrange is going to be losing that every day of the week when Carbon Crush is on cooldown.
If it wasn't Melo who got zoned out of his fight, it's pretty hard, unfortunately. Couldn't really find the uptime on the Ultron damage that you're really hoping for to take advantage of a team that's relying on, you know, Invis and Rocket, almost a Team Rocket heals. I mean, I'm Team Rocket after watching Ken play it, but isn't the greatest throughput for triage. Let's quick look at our highlight reel, and I imagine a lot of it is going to be Tanuki.
I mean, Tanuki is blasting off again. It's essentially how Cradle opened up, being able to just go like, okay, wait a minute. I can't get uppies off of a fastball to get the height to try and go toe-to-toe with the Human Torch. I'll give myself uppies off of the teleporter. And poor Naga learns the hard way what happens when Wolverines can fly.
Literally off the top rope. There's no other way to put it. Pokey still getting so much value out of a Punisher. And now you got to pick your poison if you're Team Rad. You need to start dealing with the Punisher ban as well. Are you going to allow Pokey access to that Psylocke? I feel like this was fairly close. Team Rad definitely have a workable strategy here, and their sustainability was not to be underestimated. But in the end, Tanuki just gets so much value out of this Wolverine.
Yeah, I feel like...
Yeah, and I believe 0-4 on this map in particular. So
double oof.
This is a big oof for BRR PATAPIM. But that also means that maybe you don't get as much mental strain when you lose this map. You know, you're like, we're just not a Hall of Djalia team.
See, I wonder if BRR now make adaptations to protecting Tanuki's Wolverine. As it is going to be a Loki ban coming on for both of the teams. Emma Frost has already been blocked for Red, so BRR won't be able to freeze her out any further. There is debate. We're not seeing an insta-lock on the save. BRR are really weighing up the options, thinking probably about the Wolverine, the Psylocke, and settling on the Captain America instead.
Just opening up those off angles. The Protector of Captain America does kind of force the hand of Rad. Like, we probably have to get rid of a Psylocke here. As usual, though, Rad seem very comfortable to continue going down the strategist banning route. Venom ban. Okay, so this is just going to stop Trust Me from pulling that gamer maneuver at the start. I don't know if I really value. I mean, admittedly, Trust Me does play plenty of the Venom on this map. Maybe it's more of a target ban. Hold up. A Protect for the Rocket, maybe, for the first time?
It's the Manta save, because now Rad yet again are thinking, are they going to run a res comp, or is this a pocket comp coming on for... Again, it's trying to just force the hand, see whether or not they'll bend the knee and potentially pivot to a ban of Adam rather than the Psylocke. But no, Rad will stick to their guns, and still Pokey Psylocke will be removed. However, they could only ban the Psylocke. The Punisher has been able to make it through once more. Yep.
Punisher is still a good option here for Pokey. Maybe not going to have as many options to try and sustain themselves, however, through the final judgment without many of those strategist ultimates being available.
One-sided Magneto as well for BRR PATAPIM. If it does go down to a Punisher mirror, Pokey's going to have Bulwark and Meteor M when final judgment comes through from the other side. But it looks like Rad are still going to try to work with this composition. I mean, granted, Hall of Djalia does give you a lot of natural terrain for your Human Torch to hide around, but it's going to be rough given the amount of protection that's available on the other side. Plus, breaking that Punisher turret without a Venom to play distraction, that's going to be brutal.
Oh yeah, that is that's going to be nasty to try and deal with. Still, maybe I think that this is definitely where Rad are at their most comfortable, or at least where they've put their opponents at their most uncomfortable. This has never been an amazing map for the side of BRR PATAPIM. It's a brand new approach.
There's also a new approach to this map because it feels in the past like the strange TP was the immediate pivot that the attackers would try and make. Now it feels much more that we see the attacking sides walk to the left side and challenge upon the opposite high ground the defenders, so it becomes a duel, a race to essentially build up a win condition, either a full offensive ultimate like Final Judgment or the defensive Eternal Bond that can come through when all of your players are stacked. And speaking about a duel, Tanuki is going toe-to-toe with Naga, one of which has an Invis and the other has an Ultron, so it is a battle of the pockets right now.
Yeah, Tanuki just trying to play a little bit slower here. Doesn't want to get too involved, of course, because they are on the defense. Wow, that's a lot of space already gained here by Naga and Melio. They're making an aggressive flight forward, so Tanuki has to give away a bunch of space, but that has also opened them up to Pokey being able to just take down Melio with the assault rifle. This is the price you pay when you make those aggressive pushes to try and take Tanuki off the angle.
I mean, Pokey has quietly been building up as well to that first Final Judgment. Polly not so quietly invading Rad's entire back line and forcing them to have to deal with the Captain America primarily, which frees up the space both for Tanuki and Pokey to get the job done. And Rad are losing player after player.
Oh, Tanuki feeling hot to trot right here. Does not want to go in on that diamond form ammo. Instead just going to try and poke them down from elsewhere. And wow, the iron volley from Enzo finds the final hit.
Yeah, normally when we have the Cloak and Dagger, it's a race to pull the Eternal Bond, but neither of these teams are currently running that strategist. So once more, we get to see all of Djalia. One of the problems the attackers have to face is walking up that long open line of sight when Tanuki gets to play around this building defensively. Rad are going to try and body check him with the 2 versus 1, the Torch and the Ultron, trying to make sure that they can get past that. As we can see, Pokey just got a very long wraparound coming through from a Human Torch behind them.
Yeah, saw that one coming. Tried to nip it in the bud. Pokey taking so much damage here. There's the Captain America coming through from the other side. Extra damage. Oh, run, Melio, run. The Rage of Ultron, it needs to leave right now. Oh, he's not leaving that fast, though. Naga going to be body blocking for that, we'll call it. And, well, it's a big disengage from Rad after using 2 ultimates. And the chase from BRR PATAPIM seems to be well informed. They want Melio. There could be a punish, though. Nice dodge from Tanuki getting around the corner. The Guardian Shield could save Tanuki for a while longer. And Rad, they're running low on time.
Yeah, huge Guardian Shield comes through from Alex to stop Tanuki from being seduced into walking closer to the Ammo Frost. So now you've still got Supernova in full play and no Meteor Ram on Rad's side to absorb it. On the opposite end of the stick, Enzo's been holding onto his ultimate, waiting for Naga to use his.
All right, here comes the Supernova. Coming on through, trying to eat up all of those tornadoes from Naga. It does go astray, though. No final hit going to be found off the back of it. Polly frozen up by the Absolute Zero. Sleep now. The chain CC, but it's Alex sending out Psionic Blast to tear through the backline. Was that a mid-air F-dash from Polly? Oh, he's so nasty.
He is just the Captain America, it feels. The genuine article Steve Rogers. As Tanuki has got another Supernova, Ken's going to be able to boost it up with the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. And it feels like, right, they've still got the Strange Portal. It's not quite panic in case of emergency, but we're breaking out the res composition so we can just try and suffocate the sustain that BRR PATAPIM have access to.
I mean, the res comp, yeah, but they're not going to be able to build up the resurrection for a while. At least in this last fight, 3 members will be able to come back in short order. Lots of damage coming through. They were forced forth by the Rage of Ultron. Alex taken down. The Cosmic Yarn Amplifier needs to be managed, but you also need to manage the damage from Pokey. They didn't finish their meal when it came to shutting down the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, so Pokey just puts out so much damage here. And it's a good retake thus far from BRR PATAPIM. Still down 1, as they do not have that resurrection available. Pokey already down. Polly disengaging here. Finally, the rocket has come on back and attempt to disengage is scuppered by the forward momentum, the extra movement speed of the Mantis. Polly just going to play the peripheries, trying his best to hunt down Fate here. Remember, they've still got that cocoon revival if it's needed. And here's Pokey on the opposite side. Yeah, the culling turret ain't going to last for long. That much is a guarantee. Tanuki cannot get the TP off.
Huge play from Naga. Such heads-up decision. Goes so deep that Poke's final judgment takes out the Star-Lord, but it's so far away from the rest of Rad's players that even though they drop one, it's just someone who can immediately revive back into the fight, and level 1 crit comes on through with the Soul Resurgence so Rad can stabilize. And they're finally able to break first and head into second. Big sedation too comes now onto Polly, who a sliver of health bar is forced to back off, and that means even more payload distance picked up as BRR PATAPIM have to contest, just being boxed into these spaces by the Sonic Seduction as Rad make up for all of the room they'd lost out before.
The shields just do not last against this much damage. A constant damage boost onto Naga, making him an absolute demon of raw output.
Right, Patu is what Rad are going to have in this next fight. They've still got the Mantis damage boost. They're going to have the Soul Resurgence too. Fate can afford to let all of his teammates go down because he'll have another Revive Cocoon to keep the Revive aura around him even if he goes down prematurely. Mid-comic Revival. Freedom Charge comes on out from Rajara, continuing the aggressive push into BRR PATAPIM, but Fate has fallen.
Yeah, Fate fallen. Can't get up. Won't be able to use the Cocoon Revival either, as it was used at Nadir at the first point as well. Melio likely to go down here at the auspices of Enzo, and it's Crook in the back. It's a little bit tragic for Rad. They won't be able to really utilize their Karmic Revival here from Fate as we head into, once again, the last minute of the offense.
Can they keep all of their players up, or will BRR PATAPIM be able to pick one off and force the Karmic Revival out early before Rad even get to see the objective? No, the disengage is good, but BRR PATAPIM's ultimate economy is insanely strong in comparison to what Rad have to work with.
Sentient seized, damage delivered. Trust me, the brand new front line does still have that diamond form in the back pocket. Wants to try and shut down Enzo. Slams them into a flame tornado, but it wasn't. Oh no! Oh, the resurrections! They're just feeding into the tornadoes now! Welcome to the oven! Screams Tanuki as Rad find themselves awakened into a hot space, a supernova, and they don't become neutron stars under the pressure. They turn into brown dwarves, and the pants are brown for a moment now when faced with the final judgment of a Xia boosted Punisher. The damage from Pokey can't be managed. Yes, there's going to be one last attempt coming through. Oh, in comes the portal. Waiting with the shotgun, using the cart for cover. They avoid the Sonic Seduction coming on through. Still, there's going to be a chase down from Naga. And Tanuki manages to grab that one. Fate finally turns up to the party, but Pokey tears through them.
Oof, out of the fire and, well, into the absolute barbecue grill that is Tanuki Supernova. That Karmic Revival, so often Adam Warlock's reses have been scuppered and melted out of any momentum by a Supernova. Just seeing where they're playing from, and Tanuki still has parts of that ultimate to throw. The lack of Magneto on Rad's side really felt there, not just for the engagements for Naga to be able to spin on and build up the Galactic Legend outpacing Enzo, but just not being able to keep a check of that Human Torch when Rad needed the numbers back the most.
Great heads-up play as well from Tanuki. Tracking the potential of Fate's angles for a resurrection. Take some time out from that fight when they could be doing damage, playing it a bit more greedily to look for Fate instead, realizing what the win condition of Rad is.
BRR PATAPIM now gonna be going for their own approach, and they were able to keep the Venom through, as were they able to secure Polly's Captain America. So there's going to be a lot of pressure going out onto Rad's players in the backline, and if they turn and pivot to deal with either of those threats, Pokey gets a free culling turret setup on the high ground on that left side. CC immune too, so not even level 1 Kirka, trust me, gonna yank them off of it.
All right, Rad. They went to this map with confidence, knowing BRR PATAPIM were 0-4 on it. BRR PATAPIM keen to make it 1-4.
Rad, at least now with that res composition, going to be making it costly in terms of time for BRR PATAPIM to pick up point percentage. But BRR PATAPIM doing a very good job of avoiding all of the poke angles that Rad could utilize to build up some of these ultimates. The dive's already onto the backline, and that's a Soulborn force already.
On the chase coming through as well. Had a force physics follow-up to try and pull people off when they were going after that Venom. Tanuki doing their best to avoid most of the fire, but Melio manages to catch an angle after they were softened up by Naga. And now the temptation is not to go too far. Tanuki gets resurrected up. They don't want to try and engage to stop that resurrection because you'll be going straight into the zone that BRR PATAPIM can control the best and control your disengage with that force physics. Melio under pressure. Pokey punished for it though. And now Naga needs to break down this Cosmic Yarn amplifier. The damage has already been done though. Trust me, and Rajara have fallen on down. Fate is 10% away from being able to convert onto a resurrection. But I don't know if they're going to be able to poke on out that early. Here they go. The resurrection's ready to go. They've been carried on forward by the ultimate of the Mantis. Soul Resurgence has given Fate all the space they need to work with. Most of Rand have already respawned though. They're waiting for the portal to come through from Rajaro, and he does arrive, but it's inside of an invincibility, an invisibility barrier indeed. Melio gets 2 off the back of the Rage of Ultron. Ken and Alex both down. Enzo knows it's time to call it, but one ultimate to turn that around. What value from Melio?
Melio imagined coming through with a huge Rage of Ultron, bailing out Rad after Feast of the Abyss. Takes advantage of the utilization of Soul Bond prematurely in that fight. Rajara was forced onto the Strange, had to come back on through with the TP to reconnect with the team. We've still got Karmic Revival in play, but Rad don't have the point percentage to set up for it to afford to sacrifice. If BRR PATAPIM can find the team wipe and afford themselves onto that point, Rad, even with the numbers, can still lose the first.
Early play should see Tanuki get resurrected here, but I'm not sure if we really want Tanuki to be rezzed. Caught in a back room right here. And the back rooms ain't kind to BRR PATAPIM. Rad get it done with only a single ultimate. So efficient.
Huge duo team of Trust Me and Naga. Trust Me going in aggressively with the EMEA Carbon Crush so that Naga with the Blaster Barrage can find the pick through without having to worry about trading his own life forward. Now we're getting to see the synergy come through even down that Magneto. But BRR PATAPIM, Harry, they've been building towards this next fight. They have so much for it. Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, the BRB is going to be back on cooldown too to potentially match which of the sustain that Rad can use with just numbers that BRR PATAPIM have to deplete.
Oh, Ken brings out the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier to save themselves from a stun that was given over by Rajaro there with the Eye of Agamotto, trying to chase down Polly. The damage might be unbearable. The healing's not quite there. Fate's already been taken on down. Does have a Karmic Revival still ready to go after a Cocoon Revival in their own right here. A disengagement. It's going to be difficult to manage, but that's okay because you could just fall on down and allow for Fate to play it from the other side. A quick revival. 40 seconds remain. But BRR PATAPIM, they still have their invisible boundary to move on forward. Rad are out of tricks. They're out of second chances. They're out of mulligans. Maybe an overwhelming here, but Rajaro takes out Pokey. That's a lot of damage that's already gone. Naga noted over here. Tanuki gets in close, but up against the element guns, it might be the Star-Lord who has the advantage. A pickup now. It needs to be a massive one, and indeed it is. Enzo delivers. Melio, Naga, Crook, all falling at the hands of BRR PATAPIM. Rad, maybe they can find something off the back of Naga here. 97% towards their ultimate, but it would be foolhardy to go in 1 versus 5. They need the setup to be delivered. Enzo's already picked up 2, and Naga's going to have to call it.
Yeah, Galactic Legend is still going to be up, but maybe the Star-Lord's not there. Ooh, they're trying to keep him up, and they will be able to disengage with the Duelist safely intact, but BRR PATAPIM have been able to see through the threat of the full hold, and Pokey now is so close to another final judgment too. Rad going to have to make sure as well that Enzo doesn't get to build up the Meteor M before the Star-Lord gets the space to ult. It's going to have to be an aggressive play, but Tanuki is chasing, anticipating the Star-Lord, putting a stop to the momentum. BRR PATAPIM pick up.
He plays around the back. Pokey definitely public enemy number 1. Indeed, the bounty is going to be claimed here by Naga. A dark maelstrom racks the veins of BRR PATAPIM as Rajaro claims the space, and that's going to be some stability.
Oh wait, they don't know what Pokey is. They don't know what Pokey is. Pokey got brought back by the rest station. And he's got ult. So if you're Rad, you have to scout out where that Punisher's going to be popping up from right now.
Alright, Tanuki just going to do their best to avoid poke as they commute their way over to poke this front line.
Tanuki also building up to that supernova incredibly quickly. Psionic Seduction comes on through from Trust Me. Pokey answers back. The CC immunity from the Punisher means that he ignores the Amethryst's call to arms. And BRR Patapim shut down Rad Stall.
I'm not a huge fan of the area that invisible boundary was in. Still, Fate being caught out here. Does have a Cocoon Revival ready to go if they need it in just a moment to try and get those resurrections going. Rajaro falling down. Yeah, that's Fate pulling the trigger right now. Level 1 Crook is instantly going to be... What is this resurrection? It's right in main, and it could be easily followed. Oh, Enzo! Oh, my goodness! That was filthy, rancid, diabolical!
Just taking full advantage of Karmic Revival being invested. Tanuki and Enzo both just able to turn the field into an absolute battleground that Rad can't sustain from. Rajaro has to go for a strange teleport play, but Ken's gonna have the Cosmic Yawn Amplifier and they activate it. The second the strange steps through, and Fate left behind goes down to the Human Torch.
Oh, the same here for Crook. Tanuki just having an absolute bit of freedom for Age of Ultron's the last chance saloon, but they're not on the objective. BRR Patapim pick up their first win on Hall of Djalia in Marvel Rivals Ignite in our EMEA Grand Finals.
Okay, if we're going for Res Comp, I feel like we need to get a couple of things out of the way, and Human Torch is one of them. Because every single time, Tanuki just finds where those red spots are. Even though he's a flying unit, he should be getting so much pressure coming on through from Fate on the Adam Warlock, who is a hit scan in his own right. Tanuki just gets to play perfectly around the map, perfectly around all of the resources that Enzo provides, and if you're trying to spend time dealing with the torch and looking up into the sky, Pokey gets a free run through. This is quite literally a crossfire that BRR Patapim were able to set up on Hall of Djalia, and it was one that Rad were never able to break.
The thing is, when you're running this Mantis, Adam, and Ultron, it feels like the triage capacity is a little bit low. We're seeing that Rajaro and Trust Me are having to play a very sheepish game as vanguards, and it's often meaning that punishing Holly when they go too deep or trying to overwhelm Enzo, who's essentially a solitary frontline, can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, and Trust Me too, on the EMEA has to utilize Diamond Form for setups to go with the Star-Lord rather than a Magneto who literally just bubbles the Star-Lord and calls it a day, so you don't lose physical presence on the front line normally we see when we see the res comp come on through, which meant that Polly on the Captain America every single time just had to wait out Trust Me to use Diamond Form, and then we've got a green light go sign for Captain America that doesn't have to worry about getting grabbed out, which means more harassment into the back line and more resources that Rad have to use to triage any of the potential attention sent their strategist's way.
I mean, I gotta shout out Ken again. Like, we're seeing this very pointed ban phase to try and get rid of a bunch of the best strategists, and Ken is delivering so much value on the Rocket Raccoon. What's the deal with that, my guy? I'm managing to get so much out of the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier as well. It's really good with Pokey. If we will be hanging our hats next.
Well, Captain America is the first ban coming on through from Rad. There's the pivot.
Yeah.
And BRR Patapim immediately removing the Magneto as we saw the problems that Rad ran into not having that Vanguard in play.
Question is, now with Ken freed, will they counter Loki Protect here? Allowing Ken to really stretch their legs on what was most commonly known as their best hero for a long time. So has at least friend them through a loop of touch, seeing that Cap first banned.
Rad did go for a Loki save as well, so that BRR Patapim don't get one-sided Loki if Ken does decide to save for it. But now they have a little bit of an issue. Do you save the Loki and forgo a Vanguard? Or do you potentially save a hero that Tanuki likes to field towards? Looks like they're putting the prospects and resources into the Loki coming on through, so both of these teams are going to be able to have the Asgardian strategist on their side. What BRR Patapim aren't going to have, though, and I think this is smart as well, is the Punisher. If you're running that Loki, that Psylocke threat that you had previously, especially since there's no Captain America, becomes much more easy to mitigate.
Yeah, I vibe with this, getting rid of that Punisher. Pokey gonna have to potentially run the unassisted Psylocke. if you don't want to invest yet another ban in this. Getting rid of the Team Rad Psylocke. I don't know if Team Rad really get as much value out of Psylocke as Pokey does. But the Magneto ban, I think, definitely makes a lot of sense here. Maybe you can save your own Emma Frost for BRR Patapim.
Yeah, I think they're going to potentially save maybe the Wolverine so that they can utilize the fastball special, try and break first corner when they're on the attack of Yggdrasil Path. However, Rad banning that Magneto earlier now means that BRR Patapim are going to have to deal with likely a Punisher save for Melio in this next block. And if it isn't a Punisher save, then it absolutely has to be a Punisher ban when BRR Patapim get the ball in their court.
All right, really targeting down Pokey and Polly here. Trying to make sure that they are lacking in options and, well, their own Punisher here. I think that this is a great draft here for Rad. They are leaving every strategist open for the side of BRR Patapim, but that isn't that much of an issue, honestly. I feel like Rad know their way around like a Luna Loki.
True, but taking out the Doctor Strange could be an interesting adaptation so that you wouldn't have Strange Portal recontest plays. You also wouldn't have the Strange Portal at the beginning for the Punisher culling turret, nor would you have the opportunity to utilize a Luna Fate of Both Worlds from either a Luna or the Loki that copied her to amp up the Maelstrom of Madness, but they actually decide to pivot over in the end away from the Strange and ban the Thing instead. So if Tanuki wants to flex over to the Wolverine, he's still going to be able to put the Sorcerer Supreme under pressure.
All right. It's going to be Yggdrasil Path. We saw Pokey hovering the hell indeed. And this is going to allow for Ken to get resurrected if they do get picked off early. Due to that Ragnarok Rebirth team up. And I believe that the Hell was actually the first hero I saw Pokey playing when they were on Royal Beamers, doing remarkably well in MRC.
It's a very good Helen map too. Lots of good off angles, lots of high ground rotations, and with Psylocke being out of the rotation for both sides, you don't have to worry about winning out that duel. Plus, as we've seen from other teams, Hela against Wolverine with the Soldier in a cooldown can be particularly problematic, but it does look like BRR Patapim have decided to go for the Gamma. It's going to be Namor that Pokey picks up. Enzo going to be playing the Hulk. As we can have a look and see, Rad Melio on the Wolverine. Look out, Vanguards. Your lives are in danger if a Wolverine comes flying directly for your face.
Something is off here.
Essentially, aside from the Vanguards, a bit of a mirror match here between our teams. Trust me, just opens up that portal. I believe it's just going to get Rajaro behind and then closing it instantly to swap over onto the Hulk. Get maximum value out of this. Oh, they actually put Naga over there. Oh, Naga instantly gets exiled by Enzo. Oh, Naga's in danger.
No. Oh, Blessing of the Deep is not so much a blessing because it just prolongs the inevitable.
Staggering of the Deep.
I mean, it did buy the attention. BRR Patapim turned their heads to deal with the Namor. Rad's other team players got to move around the corner, and with the regen domain, they've already been able to break through. However, Tanuki sees where the actual Loki is. Divas Exchange comes into play, allowing level 1 Crook to escape. But Pokey is just keeping such a good track of all of the off-angle rotations that Rad could make.
All right, Unbreakable Barrier put on up for the Vanguards here. An attempt at a Gamma Spear, but Rajaro is able to dodge away from that one. And now the backline pressure is starting to mount on up. Oh, Alex, now the pressure's going the other way. Una reverse card for real right now. Rajaro and Melio can't stand up to the ice arts for finger painting. Too difficult to get past.
Regen domain having to be invested as well from the side of Rad so that they don't lose another player to a stagger. Pokey has already been able to build up the first horn of Proteus. Melio, seeing that the Wolverine strategy isn't going to break open this corner, swaps now over towards that Punisher as Blessing of the Deep and Regeneration Domain have been forced to just stabilize the Namor from BRR Patapim's end.
All right, Horn of Proteus, good to go. And you can see in the back there's potential for a damage boost. Goodbye to Crook and Melio. And say farewell to your own Strategist Ultimate as well. Fate still got one in the back pocket. Of course, won't be using it here as he's just trying to avoid getting staggered out. Rad.
Oh, no.
Oh, yep, trust me, doesn't even get to reset inside.
BRR Patapim can absorb as well this final judgment, or they can just leave the area and not bother with it in the slightest. Fate is going to have the horn, the Fate of Both Worlds available to either bolster Naga or Melio's own ultimates, as Tanuki is going all the way into the back line, and he's found himself a Rajaro.
Oh, Rajara is having a very bad, not so good, terrible time right now. Unbreakable guard onto Melia, walks past the Aegis shield, but it seems like mostly... Yeah, BRR PATAPIM, they simply disengage. Enzo, whoa, what a timing there on the ultimate. Still, damage going to be done even outside of the LOS of the strategist. Cannot last for long. Enzo taken down, but Tanuki follows up their own last stand very well. Rolling forth now, and that Unbreakable Hulk is feeling quite broken. Trust me, just gets decimated. It's going to be a stagger as well.
Oh, the body blocks so that he can't run back to his team, and then the Wolf just utilizes it to keep up the rage. 1 minute left. Melio doesn't have final judgment. Naga could come through with a huge horn of Proteus. Fate can potentially provide the one-shot potential, but this has to be a magical play from Rad.
All right, Gamma Squids thrown on out here. Berserk state achieved. They want Rajaro to get control. Damage boost undelivered for now. BRR PATAPIM survive the biggest whale, the biggest biomass that was levied against them. And now it's their own turn to try and strike back. Also lacking in the value, but that's because Melia was taken out in advance by the Emma Frost. Pokey needs to make a decision. Are they going to invest that Blessing of the Deep inside of the regeneration domain? There is no need. Trust me, has to roll on forward, but is executed by Pokey. Tanuki finds Naga elsewhere. 10 seconds remain, and yet again Rad, who are waiting in the grand finals, getting all of their information, find it so difficult to break through a defense of BRR PATAPIM.
Rajara was able to contest. They'll have level 1 Crocomelia's ultimates in this next fight that goes longer than Namor 2, but BRR PATAPIM have the cover of corner and space to disengage.
But they need to turn it around for their team. Oh, they can't afford to go on down, but Tanuki's desperate to try and make it work. 15% away from the last stand. Meliu's finally got themselves a good angle. Polly gets into cover. The disengage is once again so strong, and Enzo's the only casualty to fall off the back of this one. Pokey pokes out again and again. You've still got Tanuki in the back. 98% towards the last stand. It could be a ruinous finish as the culling turret down the lane is going to make a recontest incredibly difficult. The lack of damage drop-off could be everything. And now, down the world break. Hulk, trust me, in the back is going to continually be a thorn in the side, a thorn in the backside of BRR PATAPIM. Tanuki going down. The damage boost is fine. It's just sustained on through on the other side. Everybody's got the Loki crystals to try and survive. Polly taken down, but Naga traded elsewhere. Overwhelming force is alleviated from Enzo by the healing of the fate of both worlds. Melio's turret has to go down once again. Pokey's so accurate when it comes to these. Tanuki's finally arrived, and he's made his presence known well. A freedom charge, a freedom from point A is demanded. Melio, a second ultimate, yes, but nothing to be gained off of it. The Sorcerer Supreme is saying, let me show you a trick as I make your Punisher disappear. And it's an exile onto Tanuki, slowing him down for but a moment, coming straight out of spawn. They're not on the point. Rad are getting pantsed by BRR PATAPIM.
Oh, BRR PATAPIM, they just understand. Rad's hand is forced in overtime. They have to make the aggressive play and use final judgment just to break the corner. And BRR PATAPIM, again, they just disengage it. They know that when the fight continues afterwards, they're going to have all of the ultimates to come back in with. And then they keep up the pressure, taking down Fate, taking down level 1 Kirk. Even though Melio gets the final judgment, there's no strategist. Rajaro's got the freedom charge, but it has to be on the objective so you don't lose out to overtime, which means no pocket for the Punisher. And Melio finds no value with final judgment. And Rad finds no point. Not a singular part of Yggdrasil is picked up.
Oh no. Yet another map chosen by Rad. And yet another lackluster attack. BRR PATAPIM just came out of that the lower bracket finals so bloody hot. It feels like they're undefeatable right now.
Pokey too, showcasing how strong the Namor can be when you have the Luna to line up your ultimate cooldowns. That and Blessing of the Deep just providing enough time for BRR PATAPIM to turn their attention to the Namor, who is coming under trouble, allowing him to play so much more for shutdown to the off angles that Rad were looking to create. But now it's their turn on the defense, and it isn't easy a defensible position, that first corner. Trust me, he's going to go for a little bit of a cheeky portal play at the beginning, just to give a better angle to Melio, potentially hope for BRR PATAPIM to walk directly through, but they don't fall for it.
I'm not sure what that one was. I'm not going to lie. Maybe a touch of a tilt play. I'm sure in the replays it might be made a little bit more concrete as to what the objective was there for the side of Trust Me. For Pokey, though, the objective right now is just to continue fragging from the front line. So accurate with these tridents. The Lord of the Deep is making Dalagan proud right now, as yet again just having to disengage into those regeneration domains. Poly's fully charged on up.
Oh, the Exile.
Isolated. Oh, the excellent timing on the release from the Exile as well. Already halfway towards that last stance. Tanuki is dominating.
Level 1 Kirk has been able, though, to translate the damage that BRR PATAPIM have been outputting into a strategist ultimate. Fate of both worlds comes on through, but the Wolverine still falls. BRR PATAPIM can light up as well. Hornet Proteus just before Ken's ultimate ends. Maybe he keeps it in the back pockets. The Rat still can't regroup.
Enzo, a triple What? I think that Tanuki may have just interrupted the Eye of Agamotto. It might have been a solo 1 versus 1. Trust me, he's not going to be able to teleport anybody back. BRR PATAPIM, what is going on right now? They are looking invincible. Enzo with a 3K with the Hulk on the rollers, bro. What is going on?
Yeah, it was rough for Rad there. BRR PATAPIM showcasing how you break that first corner. Anna, it's Ken's Loki. Regeneration domain was placed. Every single one of the doppelgangers literally paved the way like stepping stones for the vanguards from BRR PATAPIM to just walk leisurely through and into the space of that corner, which in reaction, everyone from Rad had to take a big old step backwards, and that then bled into the angles that were afforded to Pokey and to
Man on Loki again.
Yeah, we're right back into the swing of things, and we're still going for the priority of the Amethyst over that Magneto. Carbon Crush needs to find value coming on through from Rad. I know it means that you don't have to worry as much about the Captain America, but this Wolverine and the fact that BRR PATAPIM just immediately removed the Magneto, we need to see a pivot from Rad here into being able to play against Tanuki.
All right, early protect here. Making sure that Polly can continue being a backline menace. I gotta make sure there's gonna be no uneven gradient of Loki here.
Well, there's going to be no lunar snow forecast either for the side of BRR PATAPIM, as Rad is once again going to go back to one-sided Cloak and Dagger. BRR PATAPIM going to be removing Psylocke from play. And oh, something to point out, by the way, Harry. For the first time in the series, Sestroid is subbed in.
Oh, okay. A little bit of a new look here.
That's
Naga
Hela,
subbed out.
Potentially. Sestroid is a huge Hela player. Maybe they go the right that we saw from Crisis of low 9, where you utilize Soul Drainer against the Wolverine.
Maybe a Rocket Band this time? It seems like every time this one comes up, Ken just solves it with Rocket. Oh, the respect for the Ken Rocket. It's real!
In 2025, June, we have a Rocket Raccoon back.
Summon Inconsiderate Raccoon and no damage Rocket right now. You've got your respect.
I'll have you know that that's one damage Rocket. I believe they had to remake their account, unfortunately. As Rad are going to be able to give themselves the Mantis, which means that BRR PATAPIM are forced into banning out the Atom in case it is a Spider Island res composition to stall this out even further. I wonder, do we get the Invis woman coming on through now so that you can give a Guardian Shield over to Sestroid if he goes for that Hela play, or do you just once again try and play this Ultron matchup, but have Sestroid on the Ultron so that if it goes wrong, you can pivot?
I mean, you've got great options here just to play a double strategist as well. I feel like Fate and level 1 Croak, between them playing the Luna and the Cloak and Dagger, they should really allow for Sestroid and Melio to try and take it to the double DPS, because the double duelists at the moment, Pokey and Tanuki, they tend to be able to find a bully 2v1.
True. Spider Islands are not really known for the duelist angles, very much known for the spawn hold strats, which rotate around having a sheer amount of vanguards in your lineup. As this is going to be the first time we're getting to see BRR PATAPIM on Spider Island, so an unknown quantity coming on for, at least for broadcast. It's definitely going to be a certainty that Rad know, or at least have some form of idea of what BRR PATAPIM are going to run off of scrims. But scrims are scrims. This is officials, and this is also match point for BRR PATAPIM. Rad need to take this or the series is done.
All right, EMEA Grand Finals, $250,000 on the line. Do or die for Rad.
Rad once again coming out with the Mantis, the Ultron, and the Lunar Snow pocket composition. Tanuki once again on the Wolverine. Pokey's already been forced off of the angle though, which is giving Rad a little bit more space to play around with. No Vanguard heavy compositions, so we're going to be fighting around second corner rather than first.
We're running a double strategist with only Mantis and the Invisible Woman, BRR PATAPIM. Might have been a solve right here. Melio dives on in. Rajaro's there as well. Finally, some action. A little bit of vibration in the back here from Rad. They have been roused from the grave.
Is this the strange TP play coming through from BRR PATAPIM? Or are we going to see a pivot over to something else? No, that's still holding the strange portal. We're going to walk directly to the second fight and potentially hold off on that portal for third contest. Level 1 Crook's already going to have the Soul Resurgence in this next fight, trust me too. Building towards that first Psionic Seduction. And BRR PATAPIM are looking a little bit more fragile with the composition that they've been forced onto, as Tanuki is off of the Wolverine onto the Ultron to match the sustain that the other side can I put.
All right, Melio reigning above it all. Usually it's Naga who's playing on that Human Torch, but this time with Destroyed in. It's going to be Melio taking over those duties. Oh, Crook's already down, which is a little bit shy of managing to grab that one. Melio up too high. Pokey finds a crossbow bolt from across the map. And look at that, shutting down the follow-up onto your own Psionic Seduction to shut down Raja in the back.
Trust me, he's gonna fall. They should be able to get everyone else safely back into respawn. But opening that fight up with Psionic Seduction is a rough one, because now BRR PATAPIM can just put up token resistance presence on second corner, wait for the ultimates to be burned, and disengage before coming back in you, just like we saw on the map before. Polly up on that rooftop too is going to be able to scout check out Melio, who almost goes down immediately.
Okay, Rage of Ultron opens up already here from Destroyed, looking and speculating towards the back, but not really getting much in the way of contact here. Destroyed unable to really convert upon that ultimate. Still did force out the invisible boundary, which is a major cooldown. BRR PATAPIM are going to be lacking now. A full investment from BRR PATAPIM. They're certainly feeling a little bit spooked here and goes wide on trying to shut down Melio. How do you survive the firestorm now, Melio? He's finally cooking, and Rad have entered the kitchen for the first time in this series.
Big sedation came out from level 1 Crook as well onto Pokey, so that the Psylocke couldn't pressure the torch through the ultimate. And finally, Rad will be able to, for the first time in the series, pick up a point on Convoy, and they've got momentum to keep that movement going. Rajara is going to have Freedom Charge, Fate of both worlds too, as BRR PATAPIM, ooh, we're seeing a different side to them again. Pokey is over to the Adam Warlock. They've seen that Rad have so many flyers. BRR PATAPIM decide we're putting Pokey onto the Adam Warlock to have hit scan to challenge them, and then Tanuki is going to take the aerial dogfight up in the sky with Melio and Destroyed.
Mum said it's my turn on the res comp. Trying to track down Melio already. However, just going to go for a little bit of a disengage. Oh, that's a nasty little clip right there. And the Cosmic Clusters take down Melio from downtown. Crook rolling on forward here. Not going to be able to meet the Soul Resurgence that Ken previously used, but Destroyed getting aggressive here. Impressive that they were brave enough to use that quick Ultron dash. Oh, the shutdown on Trust Me. Instantly lost their ultimate. Where is the burst healing? Nowhere to be seen. A dink from downtown onto Pokey. But Destroyed finds Enzo, lets them fall through the cracks. Tanuki needs to be shut down on this angle. Someone else needs to come in and hit the shot. He's so difficult to hit during the blaster barrage.
But Pokey is going to have Karmic Revival. And Polly is trying to match Witch with Rajara, who's pushing for more space. They know that Karmic Revival is going to be up in the next fight, and they don't want BRR PATAPIM to have the time to set it up cleanly. Polly now goes on to the objective, is still stalling it out, and that allows Tanuki to get into a position, challenging Melio, utilizing the iframes on the Stellar Shift to get himself out of dodge before coming on through the Blaster Barrage to force a Resurgence, coming out from level 1 Crook before he just dodges right back into the safety of his boundary.
Yeah, playing safe inside the invisible boundary. And Pokey still has that Resurrection in the back. Melio going to make it a little bit dangerous here. Enzo starts eating up all of those flame tornadoes. Only the charged Aegis there to really catch for damage. So Enzo doesn't get too much off the back of this one. Unable to try and bubble themselves. They use it selflessly on the other side. Pokey going to come on through now with the res. Trust me, converting on the beam damage inside the building. The flames will rain. Polly gets resurrected yet again after putting their life on the line to keep that cart contested. A freedom charge forward now. Overwhelming force destroyed. Damage boosted, yes, but the Rage of Ultron unable to break through the freedom charge. Needs to heal up the remainder of the team. Rad, they get scuppered when it seemed like they had an opportunity.
They're all back off of the back of the Comic Revival. Pokey gets the resurrection. Melio had burned Supernova in the fight before, doesn't have it to keep pressure on the resurrection position. This is what happens when BRR Patapim can play the rest comp with the full heroes that it requires. Tanuki's gonna have a Galactic Legend. They've spotted Rajara out in the backline. Pokey takes down Melio too. Serrata missing a huge chunk of burst damage. A follow-up potential from Trust Me Psionics Seduction. Everyone from BRR Patapim is safe inside of this boundary.
One player seduced. Follow-up's not going to be there. Alex can't be shut down before the Invisible Boundary's already run its course. A soul bond here shares out the damage, but it's now over. Trust Me has everything they need to try and convert upon this fight. Tanuki wants to shut it down. It's for Legendary. Around the back, so many targets to choose, but which one will you go for in this case? A quick self-resurrection. Cocooned revival from Ken, the same from Pokey on the other side. Rad have lost control of the cart yet again. It's going to start rolling away from them. It's just the Rage of Ultron that will once more be the decider in this fight. Tanuki super low. Soul Resurgence on both sides. Yet another Meteor M. Where do you want to put it here? Directly on top of Fate's head. And Fate, now it's a lot of healing that's going to be missing. Tanuki's tracking is sublime. Second to none. Trust Me in the back. Finds Ken. Cocoon Revival already on cooldown. Overtime needs to be triggered yet again. Someone's got to go and touch the point, guys. Oh, finally. It's going to be the Captain America that gets that one going. Big Pokey Resurrection now. Ready to go, though. Brings Ken back, and no one's touching. Rad are going to have to hold it on first or hold it quicker on second.
There's no light at the end of the tunnel for Rad on that fight on second. Worse, all of the light is BRR Patapim's Comic Revival. Just allowing so many of the players to come back through in case Rad are able to start picking them up one by one, helped by the TP recontest from Fate. It has to be a hold on Spider Islands. We've seen it happen so many times before. But Rad, if they try to run the res composition, they're gonna get outmatched by the fact that BRR Patapim get the Magneto.
Just again and again, that Magneto slips through the bands. They can't keep getting away with it, Moggs.
I told you in between the break that in my personal opinion, Magneto is just as crucial to res comp as the Adam Warlock is, and you can absolutely see why. The second BRR Patapim pivoted to that composition. The Bulwarks were getting maximum amounts of value. Even Meteor M being used just shut down Rad's momentum. Absorbing instead of Galactic Legend, Rages of Ultron coming on through from Sestride, which probably converted into a lot of rage from Rad's VC. As now they have to pull off the hold. Spider Islands is defensively favored though, and if you have a flyer composition, you prioritize just boosting your spam damage output. You do have immediate access to their spawn doors to hold them for a significant chunk of time. Wait, oh my goodness, it's real. Harry, BRR Patapim are on match point and they're trying to win with Jeff Nato.
I mean, points for showmanship. We'll see if it gets points for results. Alex already taken down in the back. Rajaro managing to strike pay dirt with that backline dive.
Tanuki slowly building up to the first hits. Jeff Pokey a little bit slower to build up the Omega Hurricane. As Rad with control of those spawn doors know exactly where BRR Patapim are going to be rolling on out. And okay, there we go. We've passed the BM check onto an actual composition. BRR Patapim go. We're on res comp once more.
Active Resurrections. Tanuki needs to be shut down. Zuki's just been having an absolutely wonderful time up in the air, even in the 2v1 against Destroyed and Melio, just constantly getting that damage boost, has the healing over time from the Mantis. There we go, finally, a delivery of damage. It's going to be Melio, maybe a little bit prematurely, popping a supernova, but of course wants to start building up towards their next one real quick. Enzo forced back into spawn, a minute gone now.
Yeah, that supernova comes through very quickly before Enzo can build the Meteor M as well. BRR PATAPIM are going to be relying now on Polly, creating a disruption in the back line to force Rad's head to turn away from the spawn doors. This Asteroid more than happy to match up the sustainability of the Rage of Ultron, but he goes a little bit too low. It's not too close to the sun. It's the exact opposite. He finds himself 6 feet under, thanks to Pokey coming on through.
So far from the sun, he's just voyaging past Pluto at the moment, going out into the Kuiper belt. BRR PATAPIM finally break out of their spawn. They just love Melio here. Maybe there's going to be a quick teleport back from Rad, but looks like they're just going to opt for a regular second fight instead.
Yeah, no one's on the strength. They're all too close to their ultimates to sacrifice to a 50% gut of the ultimate charge reset coming on through. And that does mean that we're going to be seeing 2 fights potentially of Spider Islands first, which is more than happy for BRR PATAPIM, given the fact that Pokey has got Comic Revival up.
Got that free reset ready to go, opening up here with the Freedom Charge already forces out the Soul Resurgence from Rad, and Polly just says, okay, that's it. I'm just going to leave for a second then. We're going to win out over time inside the invisible boundary. Going to be difficult for Melio. Slowed on down. Supernova lays down a bunch of damage. But remember, if you can wait this one out with your resurrection, everything's going to come your way. Multiple players get taken down. They dive into a flame tornado inside this space with the soul bond. So much damage needs to be dealt with. Oh, big grab coming through from the side of Trust Me. Tanuki unable to be followed up upon, though. Just going to lose a little bit of time out on that uptime as Pokey still playing around the backside. Melio being hunted on down. Pokey so accurate when it comes to the start of Adam Warlock, just hitting all of the hit scan shots that they need to. Trust Me, gonna possibly do this one alone. Rojaro's gonna be able to portal back just in time, and there's gonna be plenty of healing coming through from Sestroid with that drone rolling on through, running low on time now. Our BRR PATAPIM, only 45 seconds remain as Enzo takes to the skies, lays it down. Libronzo strikes again. Sestroid needs to be shut down, and you better believe that it's Polly of all people who gets that one done. Ground to air violence from the Captain America shows you air supremacy.
Fate's trying to stall it longer though. Fate of both worlds comes on through, just trying to bleed BRR PATAPIM, having to commit more resources which they don't have access to on the second. Freedom Charge has been forced from the side of Polly. Rajaro was able to pick out Ken, but this should still be BRR PATAPIM claiming that first place position. Level 1 Kirk with the Soul Resurgence. Wait a minute, they're turning it around. Trust Me finally gets the front line, has the Psionic Seduction, and BRR PATAPIM are losing players.
It's clutch from Crux to bring them back with a Soul Resurgence. Touching not really on the cards right now. Tanuki going up against Melio. It's a duel of all ages between these two damage dealers, and you can't get there in time. Rad extend the series, and welcome to the grand finals, Rad. It's so nice to see you.
Spider Islands, another full hold after we visit this map comes on through as we get to see them utilizing that strange TP, not for the free fights minimum, but to make sure that they can throw themselves onto that objective and just get themselves into a position where the EMEA can go aggressively forward with the frontline pressure. It looked rough, it looked really dicey, especially when that Comic Revival comes on out and Melio is already out of supernova charges to be able to uproot the resurrection position on the inside of the building, especially given the fact that they've been holding on to Soul Bond to stabilize and then lead into the Galactic Legend recontest. But Team Rad are able to stagger their players massively onto the payload, even down the strange TP timing. And with just sheer amount of stubbornness and strategic ultimates, they hold themselves in the tournament.
Look, I'm just saying, having a Luna and actually being able to put some triage healing onto your Vanguard meant that Trust Me could do so much in that game. Like, if you keep your Emma Frost alive, your Emma Frost will deliver, I promise. And that seems to have been a real issue for Team Rad thus far. No surprise that Trust Me walks away with the MVP for this matchup in the first map that we've seen Rad win.
Yeah, I mean, Emma needs to be aggressive to find value, right? She can be such a valuable Vanguard. She can be one of the best heroes in the entire game, not just looking at that role that she finds herself in, but you need to actually damage to be able to upkeep your charge. If you don't have a Luna, if you're relying off of heals coming on through from an Adamant Ultron and a Mantis, and so much of those heals are resource based, especially for the Adam and the Mantis, then the Emma has to be very cowed in terms of how she gets to play, and that then impacts the amount of charge to ban against Ken's Loki and BRR Patapim, once more keeping Magneto out of the midst of Rad. This time around though, well, that's a huge pivot, and that now puts even more pressure onto Rad to ban both the Psylocke and the Captain America. That's a Luna Snow insta-save from BRR.
Okay. Interesting. Really prioritizing Alex here. Well, Alex is doing the ban, so maybe he's yeah, it's time to look out for number one, you know? Time to keep it 100 here. First protect coming through from Rad, gonna be the Emma Frost, and hopefully it's gonna get some good support behind it this time.
Yeah, Rad taking advantage of the fact that BRR Patapim don't get a save now until they're lost, which means that they can't try and block the Psylocke or the Captain America later. Is BRR Patapim not going to be allowing Rad to get one-sided Loki? We now go into the two bans coming through at the same time. Tanuki is gonna get targeted. The Wolverine has been removed.
All right, Wolverine off the table. Notorious Tanuki map for the Wolverine, but has enjoyed quite a bit of time on the Black Panther here. And this does kind of necessitate that Rad should use their last ban on either Cap or Psylocke.
Yeah, but one of them's making it through regardless.
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna let the Cap go through, given now that they've saved the Wolverine and you can utilize the feral grabs onto the Vanguard. As BRR Patapim are gonna target out the Captain America coming on through from Rad's side, so their ability to bounce the point as well as pressure BRR Patapim's backline has been significantly reduced as BRR Patapim see the Wolverine, think, okay, Cap might be a good play here. But do they go for the save of the Vanguard over the Psylocke?
Yeah, looks like they're going to go for that, knowing that they're going to have access to the Magneto as well, providing it's not banned out here. And there we go. Yeah, you cannot allow for both Cap and Psylocke to exist. For BRR Patapim, it's simply too difficult to deal with. Although, I imagine there was a world where maybe they wanted to ban out the Thing as well. But the option's too thin on the ground. Looks like Luna's going to make it through on both sides as well.
Tanuki's Panther makes it through too, as Rad could well now pivot over to the Thing that you talked about, utilizing the Yancey's recharge and the Earthbound debuff status that it applies to the enemies caught out in that circular AoE so that they can't utilize Earthbound and movement abilities. Pokey, though, is going to be going over to the Namor because I think they've read the Thing coming out from the other side and they're just going to use them as pincushion for the Namor to just build up Horn of Proteuses.
Yeah, just that easy. And then you get your one taps off the back of a damage boost. Fun and fair for all involved, Moss.
Probably not the Vanguard player, though. So it does look like they were going to be rolling out the Groot as well. So maybe you're trying to utilize the damage reduction from the Thing's jumps to give your other Vanguard a little bit more tankiness when it comes to surviving on that point and anchoring the position. You've got a lot of wombo combo potential too, off of what Strangling Prison can set up.
Mox chat, I don't know about you, but I am wishing for a game 7 between these teams. Rad are finally awake. Let's see if they can deliver on Hell's Heaven.
This is BRR Patapim's self-confessed best map. It's also one of Dive's best map, and no surprises, they're doubling down upon it. Enders on the Hulk, Polly the Captain America. Rad's backline are not going to have a fun time, and that's why we see the triple strategists come on through.
Really, you Flavor is about to hit. And Flavor Town is going to be populated mostly by Rad here. First coming on through, Spirit Rend. Reset on the other side, Tanuki just with a little tap here and there. A love tap. A quick kiss on the forehead to let them know that he cares before diving in fully. Has to worry about that Yancey's recharge though. We see that it's Rajaro who's actually putting out on this nice shutdown on the momentum. And this is why I said they wanted to ban out the Thing. Rajaro really gets the value there off of Yancey.
Yeah, and Rad playing so stacked together. Fate's going to be able to build up the Eternal Bond in record timing as Melio drops Polly off of the map.
Okay, Rad are back, baby. And for those of you who haven't watched EU before, just disregard those first like 2 or 3 maps, you know? They're a real team. They're a real team, and they are really good.
Yeah, they're having that warm-up. Now we get to see the true grand finals coming on for Pokey is also going to have the Horn of Proteus, but Alex has not been able to keep pace with the damage that Nemo's been outputting. No Fate of both worlds to give it that one-shot potential. Tanuki on the off angle, just waiting for his team to regroup before they try and hit in with a dive composition. But Enz has already had to utilize the Unbreakable Resolve, and that means that Rad's backline have a little bit more safety to wait out the cooldowns to come back through.
Okay, Rajara on deck to always use that Yen's Tree charge. The second that you hear that your backline is under pressure, you don't want to use to try and shut down Enzo. Instead, just relying on Melio to shut that one down. Yet another excellent exile coming through. Our players are grabbed out of the Eternal Bond. A great response from Trust Me. Alex falls down, but there's still plenty of healing remaining for the remainder of BRR PATAPIM as they move on forward. Bash Descent ready to go. Melio finds Pokey. Ken falls off the map after the reset, and BRR PATAPIM are back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and all of the potential damage from Ken's Terror Cape is just mitigated by the fact that Rad are on triple strategist. Even if one of your Vanguards gets applied vulnerability, you can still keep them fully healed on up as the last stand comes on through from Melio. Package delivering Enzo into the waiting arms of his team's front line. Tanuki sees that its last fight, tries to pull Rad's attention back to the point to let the rest of his team walk.
Fast Descent could be brutal. Forcing out a Soul Bond early would also be super valuable, and there it is. The Soul Bond used by Destroyed still has that Karmic Revival in the back pocket. It was going to be needed. However, with Crook channeling the Fate of both worlds, it's going to be unlikely. Rajara gets 3 stuns, 2 Vanguards, and Pokey both confused instantly in onto the Adam Warlock. Tanuki puts it all on the line. 36 HP remains. It should be a self-revival here from Destroyed in the midst of all of this. Yeah, that's going to be the Cocoon Revival. It's yet another Strangling Prison as well that claims Pokey. And here's the Revival as well. Destroy doesn't want to give up any chances here, and while it might not be the optimal ult economy here for the remainder of Rad, having used that resurrection, BRR PATAPIM dropped the first map of Hell's Heaven.
Yeah, Rad just could not risk BRR PATAPIM coming back on through. Fate was so close to the Eternal Bond that they sacrificed the entirety of Karmic Revival to bring him back, since he can't cocoon and revive himself. But like you said, that means that Karmic Revival has now been removed from play, at least for this fight, as BRR PATAPIM was swapping off. Instead of going for the Black Panther, Tanuki is going to go into a different form of dive, Human Torch being a hybrid between both dive and spam, and Pokey is thinking about the Hella to try and deal with Melio on the Wolverine, but Eldritch Monument, not a Hella's best map when it comes to keeping yourself safe on those off angles.
Yeah. Hella can also be a real pain for a thing to deal with as well. Just eats so much poke off the back of that and has no real means of interacting with the Goddess of Death ultimate.
True, but you do have to watch out. If Rad are in control of the area first, then they have a lot of spam potential to just keep the pressure onto all of the angles that the Hella could potentially raise her head from. As Rajaro is going to be holding Melio aloft, who is going to get grabbed out first? It's actually one of these flyers, as Pokey's actually out on the Iron Man.
Double flyer. I don't think we've seen too much of Pokey on the Iron Man. To the skies. Not that much of a vertical angle here. Never mind. I lied, by the way. Tanuki grabbed out there by Melio. Feeling what Naga felt previously. A quick dunk. It just gets rid of the group walls there. Enzo didn't want to throw it in towards the midst of Team Rad for some reason. Fate on the off angle. Nasty play with the Terror Cape. Delivering with the back of the Eternal Bond. It's his favorite time, but it's Alex's least favorite at the moment. Dragged in by the Sonic Seduction. Immortal Pulse Cannon grabs Rajaro, and it brings Trust Me incredibly low. The healing just isn't there. The strategists have been previously decimated, and BRR PATAPIM get control.
Yeah, there's got to be a pivot now from the Vanguard lineup. You can't run group thing into double flyers. I think Trust Me's going to stick with the group for now, just so we can utilize Strangling Prison in this next fight. But off of the back of that one, it's going to be time to swap potentially to the Doctor Strange, as Rajara's on to the Emma Frost. Having that shield, mitigating some of the spam pressure coming on through, as well as giving yourself an umbrella to hide underneath for when that maximum pulse comes on out from Pokey's side once more.
Strangling Prison off the top rope, potentially. Trust Me is already cooking, but it's feeling his wood start to get a touch cooked by the Human Torch in turn. Off from downtown. Oh, what What an Aegis! Unbelievable play there from Polly. Read them like a book, baby. Saw that one coming from a mile off. The bait and the switch works on out. And now BRR Patapim, they're just going to have to try and rescue Pokey. Big Sonic seduction coming on through. Multiple players needing to be sustained here by Crook, but it's easy enough to do with a Lunar Snow ultimate. Now it's time for the Supernova to rain from on high. Melio, I believe, was just instantly impacted by the pulse cannon, perhaps in midair. Now the big threats coming through, and that's going to be the Punisher, the final judgment, laying down the damage. Polly can't escape too easily. Combined damage of both the Meteor M and Alex's usage. Oh, wow, the midair Spore Bomb. Okay, trust me, he's making up for a little bit of a fumble as Rad get control back.
He's already almost got another Strangling Prison from the damage that, trust me, was able to output onto this Groot. Ken's going to have an Eternal Bond, but we already saw on the map before how Rad dispatch with it. Strangling Prison and grabbing everyone outside of it. The CD is going to be CC immune, but the rest of the team, the same cannot be said. Melee is also going to have the Dance of the Butterflies ready to go the second at the right side of the AoE, and that's going to force the Eternal Bond immediately.
Yep, Eternal Bond used a little bit prematurely. Isn't even going to reach the point, by the way. That's going to be the Vanguards dragged on in. The healing cut off by the Ironwood Wall. Enzo falls. Polly's able to get out with their life for now. But Rad still have all of the space they want to work with right here. A new Invincible Pulse Cannon. Pokey says, just in case they come up, I've got a little surprise for them.
Nah, Rad, they're not falling for it. They don't need to. Melio's going to be able to scout out where everyone's setting on up, displays the information to the rest of the team. Rajara takes a little bit of spam pressure coming on first. That Fate and level 1 Crook can equalize ultimate charge to what BRR Patapim could potentially build in this next fight, as we do have to worry about the one-shot. The Pulse Cannon is on the field for Pokey, but he's currently just not getting the confidence to use it. Good dodge of the Terror Cape with the terrain directly in front of him, but this Iron Man is still being focused.
Yeah, the Iron Man catching a bunch of poke here. A fully charged up, trust me, is going to be able to lay down loads of damage. Oh, it's a speculative Invincible Pulse Cannon, but Pokey gets nothing off the back of it. And now caught in the corner, it should be easy follow-up here for Melio. Level 1 Crook gets temporarily controlled. The Meteor M from Lebronzo once again strikes home. It's the shutdown you've been waiting for, but a shutdown in their own right as Enzo is absolutely atomized against the central pavilion. Polly stands by themselves against the tides of Rad. And no matter how hard the diamond is, the pressure's too much.
Yeah, they've got Strangling Prison. The second that BRR Patapim all drop out of this strange portal, it has to be a shield block on the Groot ultimate, or this round is done. Supernova comes out from Tanuki. They look to try and shut it down immediately with Melio's Dance of the Butterflies, and BRR Patapim just don't have the players to soak it. Out comes Ken with the Eternal Bond, keeping the plays, keeping the team in this fight, and Sestrod gets taken down.
Yeah, level 1 Groot's got a good angle from above, but BRR Patapim just being able to break out of there was so important. Like you said, Tanuki got instantly shut down there by the Butterflies and by the Strangling Prison as well, but 2 ults for 1, not the ideal trade.
He's back on the Panther. Perajara is back on the thing immediately to counterplay it. Trust me, he's trying to build up the next Strangling Prison, knows that BRR Patapim are down defensive ultimates. Rad wants to make an inroad into this fight and quickly.
Enzo got to be careful about that disengagement path here. Yet again, has the Meteor M good to go. Is out-farmed, destroyed here. Melio around the back, looking to see if anyone gets grabbed out by the Sonic Seduction. The strategists have had to look around. Destroyed once again, dunked upon. Oh my goodness, I think Trust Me just got frozen out of their ultimate. What a play from Alex, but Ken can't survive. Yet another freeze. Every ult is being caught, but it's BRR Patapim on 99% with everything they need to turn this one around. Yeah, you see the ults get cancelled. They've played these games before. And there's just no time for the portal.
Alex is the savior, the hero of the hour, not just being able to freeze, trust me, out of the Strangling Prison cast after Meteor M had been burned too, taking Sestroi down so that the Groot doesn't have to worry about the ultimate as a projectile being absorbed. It's off of the Luna, swapping Fate of both worlds to the 40% amp boost that the Maelstrom of Madness and Eye of Agamotto manages to find the damage to take Rad's players down. What a huge play coming on through from the back line. Ken and Alex really just trying to make sure that BRR Patapim do not lose the win rate of Hell's Heaven.
It's their best map for a reason. They're uniquely suited to the geography.
Frozen Airfield is the next and last round of Hell's Heaven's rotation. This is an easier map for dive too. Lots of verticality, many off-angle routes. And you can see that Rad are anticipating that Black Panther to be sticking around for a little bit longer, but Tanuki is off of it. He's onto the Star-Lord. Pokey has also swapped over to the Winter Soldier to try to bionic hook either Cestroid or Melio when they try and show up too.
Eyes on Rajaro early, confirm that they indeed made the right choice here. Rajaro does not want to send the Wolverine after the Star-Lord. Would not be the smartest matchup for the little mutant. Here we go towards the back. Speculative for now. Wants to try and grab Tanuki, who's being so evasive up here, but at the moment it's all distractionary gameplay. Tanuki's just an amusing sideshow. Was that yet another freeze? No, it does manage to at least hit pay dirt here onto Alex, but the solo focus is not enough. Ken got the value there out of the Eternal Bond. This is plenty of sustainability for BRR PATAPIM into the Dark Force dimension. The clobbering time takes Enzo low, and that's a great delivery of a Terror Cape as well to make sure the follow-up is good.
Yeah, Rajaro just perfectly timing the spacing of that Dark Teleportation ending to catch everyone from BP as they drop out of it into the Thing's ultimate. Cestroid now is going to be holding on to the last stand too, but you do have to worry about BRR PATAPIM. The ultimates that they have coming up into this next fight is going to be delay strategies from Rad so they can build up level 1 Crix Fate of both worlds to match wits with the Kraken Impact.
Oh, Melio spotted it. What a grab coming through. That's both Stellar Shifts now used. But in the 2v1, Tanuki still grabs Melio. What's the deal with that? Looking in onto Fate now. This may well force out the fate of both worlds. And indeed, it does. Aggressive plays down on Melio. They need to be made. BRR PATAPIM are lying in wait, though, with plenty of ultimates in their own right. LeBronzo, can he deliver again? Not in this case, it would seem. But Tanuki finds the low Fate and brings them up. The low tape of Fate in this case gets destroyed as Polly racks the nerves of the back line, and this should be BRR PATAPIM getting their first flip.
And not a single duelist ultimate invested either, which means in this next fight, Pokey, just the way we saw Kraken Impact CC immunity frames being used to dodge Eye of Agamotto earlier, can use it. Oh, never mind.
I think that
Cannot
might have
use
been a
it
reset
to dodge Strangling Prison.
Finger.
That is an unfortunate timing of an ultimate press.
Oh boy, Pokey's going to be kicking himself for that one, but it's okay. Still super winnable here for BRR PATAPIM off the back of just the Galactic Legend. Trust me, once again, going to be very careful of this Aegis shield from Enzo. Sees Tanuki up above, knows that a solo over there is a little bit too risky. In towards the back, that's both of the strategists grabbed on in, and it's absolutely clinical from Trust Me. Destroyed, swapped over, yeah, onto the Adam Warlock, so the Soul Bond was instantly available to deal with Tanuki's ultimate. Beautiful play from Rad.
Yeah, especially because they heard Pokey use Kraken Impact on the point itself. Fate's going to have Eternal Bond for free too, so we can make an aggressive play with Psionic Seduction from Rajaro and mirror the sustain that Ken can bring to the table. Tanuki is going to go over to the Black Panther off of the Star-Lord. Is still going to be able to receive the 35% trickle heal coming on through, but Rad aren't allowing BRR PATAPIM any passage through the chokes. They come in early. Dance of the Butterflies, carpeted up by the Eternal Bond on the point, and BRR PATAPIM, all of the ultimates that they had just got forced.
Eternal Bond equally forced out here. Tanuki around the back does not want to deal with a full charge. Emma Beam at least just going to catch a little bit of poke coming through from the Eternal Bond. On the chase right now. Pokey finally has built up yet another Kraken Impact, but do they have the damage to try and convert here onto Trust Me? No. The healing's going to be good. The fate of both worlds has been deployed. Rad might get it done on BRR PATAPIM's preferred map. Destroyed can't afford to fall. They need that resurrection. Enzo gets multiple plays here off the back of the Sonic Seduction, but gets isolated by the walls that Trust Me's erected behind them. And that's going to be an attempted bash descent. Tanuki's going to get done in the midst of all of this. A rend after rend. The Karmic Revival's good to go. Destroyed knows that their location has been found, though. They've lost him in the midst of all of this. It's going to be a last-second contest from Rajaro. Destroyed has resurrected themselves, coming back off the back of the TP. Destroyed has decided to call it.
Yeah, Cestroid was in the cocoon form, just baiting BRR PATAPIM to have to follow him in case it was a revive into the Karmic Revival. And now Tanuki on that Black Panther is going to be looking to try and figure out where exactly that Adam Warlock is setting on up. Rajaro back onto the Thing because the Black Panther's in play. It's chess into checkers, and only one of these teams can come out on top.
Tanuki wraps the back. Has himself a spinning kick to play with multiple players. Are managing to avoid that incoming damage. Soul Bond already used as we roll on forward. Melio has grabbed one. Ken's down as well. There's no healing on the board for BRR BRR PATAPIM. They're going to have to get it done off regular skill alone. And Pokey's got it in spades. This Hela is pumping out the damage, but it might be overwhelming because still the healing can be delivered by Rad. It's a flip over in their favor. A last chance saloon for a recontest is not going to be on the cards from a Doctor Strange. It has to be Pokey coming in from one side and Tanuki from the other. Up to the sky goes the Goddess of Death, but no one's on the point. Rad steal away BRR BRR PATAPIM's best map.
Tanuki just overshoots, and unfortunately, Pokey on the Hela, Goddess of Death, lifts you above the point so you don't count as contesting. And Rad, 2 maps in a row now, steal it away. The hopes for the reverse sweep, Harry, very much intact. We have a grand final series on our hands.
Oh, picking up the MVP. That's the one and only low taper fate right there. 48k healing, 6 final hits, and Rajaro just on this constant merry-go-round of trying to shut down what Tanuki was bringing from the table. I believed for a moment when Pokey picked up those 3 frags, man. I was like, okay, is it going to be another one of those? Is it going to be another one? The end of a VP series once again for Pokey, but the damage was already done. It was a great setup from Trust Me. Yet another fantastic strangling prison.
Yeah, and a great read as well from Rad coming on through. They know that Galactic Legend is in play on Frozen Airfield, swapping Cestroid onto the Adam Warlock just so they don't have to build up an ultimate to deal with the Star-Lords. They can literally just hit the shift button, have everyone tank the damage all together, nice and cozy on the point, which allows them all of the follow-through onto Trust Me as well. And they can still have Fate with the Terror Cape connecting onto everyone who got scooped up by the group.
Unbelievable scenes here. Rad far from dead. They refuse to go quietly into that good night. And with $250,000 on the line, who would? This is what this team was built for. We had our graphic before the matchup. Mox, this team has never been the #1. They've never been the big winner. They got 4th in MRC Season 0, 4th at the Marvel Rivals Invitational, 2nd at MRC Season 1. They've always had the talent. Once Trust Me gets online, things get a lot more complicated.
Well, that's going to be getting complicated. Both teams instant panic out the Loki, which means that BRR BRR PATAPIM will also be able to get the instant save onto the Lunar Snow, and Rad can now start targeting out the Vanguard's likely going to be a Captain America, or maybe they go for that Psylocke yet again. No, Punisher off of the rip this time around.
Maybe attempting to even bait in the Cap Psy. It would be wishful thinking, that much is for certain. A quick protect onto Trust Me's Emma wouldn't go awry. Of course, you're rarely going to see Trust Me's Groot catch a target ban in this day and age. Maybe there's one where you could ban out Tanuki's Wolverine, though, so that constantly remains a threat.
I think as well, if you secure the Emma Frost, like, it is going to be tough if both teams go res comp route. But you're anticipating Enzo wants something like over the Hulk or the Venom to be able to just dive into the back line and create a little bit of a diversion for BRR BRR PATAPIM's rest of the team to get what they want done. So having Carbon Crush online is going to be doing a lot of distance to taking the dive out. As BRR BRR PATAPIM remove the Psylocke from Rad's side, Rad notably not going for either the Psylocke or the Captain America or the Luna as of yet.
Likely going to be a Mirror Punisher ban here. Choice to try and take out... Oh, Polly. Yep, there they go. And now the question is, if you are BRR BRR PATAPIM, do you want to protect the Wolverine in your own right and have an unequal Wolverine gradient?
Yeah, taking Melio's Wolf off of the board does make it a little bit harder for the Flyers to get looked at too. If BRR BRR PATAPIM want to put Tanuki onto the torch in case his Wolverine does get banned out, as Rad are going to be able to secure Lunar Snow for themselves too before we go into the next ban phase for BRR BRR PATAPIM. This is going to give us a really good insight onto what they want to utilize and what they put stock onto removing. Do they want to get the Thing, or do they want to target out the Adam Warlock?
Yeah. Oh, hello. I mean, yeah, I don't think you necessarily want to ban the Human Torch when Naga's not in. And there we go. It is going to be the Wolverine Gradient, I imagine, if they commit to this. I'm surprised that if they were going for this, they didn't go for a preemptive ban on the thing. But the resurrections have been troublesome.
True, and having to actually maneuver the thing into a position where he doesn't just eat a ton of poke and then have to remove himself from the fight entirely, it's a little bit harder to do on Central Park, especially on your attacking round.
Yeah.
As we're going to see Rad think about the Psylocke, remove the EMEA yet again, so no more projection team up coming on through, although Pokey will still be able to play the Psylocke, and with a Lunar in play, that's definitely going to be a point of pressure for Rad to have to pivot to deal with.
Yeah, I love the protect here onto the Lunar Snow, though, from both teams, but especially from Rad. As I've been constantly pointing out, just have someone who can keep Trust Me up. And Trust Me is kind of delivering right now. Really seems to be the difference maker on the 2 maps that we've seen won by Rad.
Difference maker as well on this map. Magneto is in play for both teams. So we are going to be seeing Cloak and Dagger on the field, but you do have Bulwark to protect against the one-shot potential when you're mid-Eternal Bond dash. And we have also counterplay against things like the Tanuki Wolverine, with the Bulwark being used in case the Vanguard does get grabbed on out early.
Also going to be a difference in those psionic projections being available, with only one team having a Emma alongside their Magneto. Looks like for now, Pokey just going to be hopping around on that Psylocke, as we've come to expect.
Rad going to be on the defense first. Sestroid already on that Ultron Imperative patch. We can see pocketing right now. Melio on the Human Torch as he looks to just get as much poke and spam into BRR Patapim as they can. Enzo is indeed on the Hulk that we expected, which means that Trust Me is going to have their hands full in terms of targets for Carbon Crush.
Oh yeah, and Melio is going to have their hands full when it comes to extra occupants of this airspace as well. And here he comes. Going to be an attempt to dodge away. Nicely played. Crook already falls down, though, to Pokey. A great opening here for the Psylocke. And this is going to be next up. Yeah, Rajaro on the docket. All the way into a backline. Things are getting real complicated. Might be able to use their Sonic projection to get out. No, not going to be on the cards right here. This could be cooked already. Huge bait and switch from BRR Patapim. Rad thought it was going to be a target dive onto Melio, but in actual fact, it was Pokey setting up the hit onto level 1 Crook. And BRR Patapim overwhelmed Rad's triple strategist composition in a matter of moments. Sestroid off of the Ultron isn't in time with the strange teleport, and Fate getting picked late as well means that Rad lose even more space to hold on to second. Yeah, that's going to be absolutely disastrous here for Rad. Far from over at the moment. The Mantis hater in me is saying that maybe you don't get as much value out of it here if you're Rad. I'd love to see Force Physics to try and shut down Tanuki and to give Melio that team up. Yeah, I feel like Invis Women would definitely make things a little bit easier in terms of the neutral, but you do sacrifice sustainability for the ultimate. Melio goes for the dive. They've been able to pressure out Enzo, but it comes at the cost of Trust Me. No one was helping out the Emma Frost in the Lunar Snow Mirror. Yeah, the Emma got aggressive. Caught also, what is Fate doing over there? Did not see that one coming. A quick freeze, yes, but the remainder of the team remains unfrozen. This is an absolute masterclass in momentum. Yeah, it feels like Rad are just getting separated, split at the moment. They try and pivot to look at the Hulk, and BRR Patapim just communicate that everyone's looking at Enzo. Deal damage elsewhere, and it will permanently stick. Out comes the Diamond Form from Trust Me. Soul Resurgence invested from level 1. Crook forces Ken's Eternal Bond out, and BRR Patapim are more than happy to make that trade. Okay, Soul Resurgence used, Destroyed falls through the cracks, the healing not quite enough when compared to what Pokey's bringing to the table. Melio starts raining down fire tornadoes and might be able to find the backline here. They need to take out Ken, and indeed the fire tornado delivers. In this case, Tanuki takes out Crook, but not much more than that. Fate next up on the docket to try and get sliced on through, but damage too much to bear. Destroyed needs to use their ultimate here to try and sustain the remainder of the team. It's going to take so long for Crook to come on back, though, and Melio falls to Enzo in the midst of all of this. Must have been grabbed out of the air. What a great play coming through from Enzo. Oh, there's the attempt at the teleport coming through as well from Ken. Enzo just put down for a nap for now. Rad still keep it contested. It must be Rajaro, and Enzo says no one puts down Hulk for a nap. Hulk sleeps when Hulk wants.
Well, Rad are able to find two But the Unbreakable Resolve comes out from Enzo, and he's got the mobility with the non-cooldown chomps. He's got the pick onto Sestroid as well, and Rad managing to overlap both the Freedom Charge and Rage of Ultron from Rogero and Sestroid. Now it means that they're down ults in this next engagement. It's going to have to be a stack up and try and absorb the damage that Pokey can output, but that means that their position is forced. They're not going to be that to prevent the distance picked up for Convoy.
Yeah, and stacking together can be ruinous when LeBronzo's on the other side. Oh, well, Polly in this case on the other side with a Meteor M. I mean, not always got as much respect as Enzo just yet, but hello, level 1 Crook going to be catching a bunch of this damage. Forces the Soul Resurgence. Polly looking for a victim. Fate manages to dodge away. Great usage of escapes right there to make sure they manage to stay well out of the AoE. Melia wants to cook from behind. Enzo's going to be in a little bit of trouble after being slept up, but you don't want to try and commit too hard onto Polly after all this. Pokey gets their sentient seized, and that means that there's no way to try and avoid the Rage of Ultron that's being ran on down by Sestroid here. And finally, with the buildings being reformed, good choke points here for Rad to try and play off.
Yeah, but BRR can push on through an Eternal Bond. Supernova comes on through from Melia, but the exile from Enzo! The Torch almost gets cooked. Fate bails them out with the Fate of both worlds, but BRR Patapim have been able to break through Chook, and they've still got the last stand after all of the sustain ults are done.
Enzo gets it done again, grabs him out the air, the intercept, Fate still, the Ice Arts, the Cleaver so difficult to deal with, Unbreakable Guard is going to be part of this. Fate's just getting stuck in over here, and it's built space, yes, for Trust Me, but Fate has had to sacrifice themselves to try and make it work. But oh, no way! No, you stop right there, Cap. Freedom is not going to reign today. Enzo is on one right now.
Exile into Slam into Exile once more. Enzo's Hulk is terrifying right now. It feels like they have an army just off of this one Vanguard alone. And Rad are going to be feeling their backs against the wall literally in a matter of moments as they've run out of room to disengage.
Far from running out of time, though, on the side of BRR Patapim. Still 2.5 minutes. Already going to be the Sonic Subduction coming on out from Trust Me. Needs to find some victims over towards the back. Maybe it could be Polly who's overwhelmed, but Alex still has plenty of healing for all and sundry inside of that Fate of both worlds. Tanuki maybe looking for a knock off the edge. It certainly would be a lot of value. Big Terror Cape coming through onto BRR Patapim. Polly needs to be overwhelmed. Uses the Meteor M instantly. Oh, and manages to punish Crook. Unreal. And now how can you sustain through the dance of butterflies? Pokey gets their one and then cancels it early. Melio just up against the world all by themselves. Will punish Pokey, but can they get much more than this is the question. Everyone else simply hides away and forces everyone forward. A quick portal from Crook over just a couple of feet, but can you even get on through here? No, the body block is too strong. BRR Patapim say, yeah, we're still Convergence Demons.
144 full push for Central Park. They had so much momentum. It was such a fast take of the first, and then just converted into stagger pick after stagger pick in the second. Rad managed to find their footing, but it was at the very end of B, and even then there were still stumbles through C, so BRR Patapim had so much time to play with. Plus, Rad felt like they had to go aggressive, overextend into BRR Patapim's own front line, and that just meant that Enzo and the Hulk had an absolute field day.
I'm legitimately begging you to play Lunar Cloak and Dagger or Lunar Invis.
Surely we have to see an Invis.
I mean, Crook has actually
Surely,
put
at
out a
some
bunch
point.
of healing, it's true. It feels like Destroyed is having a lot of trouble getting value, even out of a damage-boosted Ultron.
I mean, it feels like they're going for the approach of the Hulk can't hurt us if we hurt the Hulk before he reaches us. But there's the Invis coming on out. Coming on through from level 1, Crook at the sacrifice of the Mantis, and Sestroid now without that Mantis is off of the Ultron onto the Punisher. This should be where Enzo just gets absolutely blitzed in a blender the second he shows his face to the side of Rad.
Yeah, big control onto the Hulk. I'm actually a big fan of this pivot here. Maybe not really going to be quite as much healing going the way of Trust Me without the Luna, but it is going to allow for a lot more shutdown on the Hulk.
Yeah, not just that, but on Tanuki on the Wolverine too. He's already forced out. And that was Bulwark as well, forced to make sure that he gets out safely. The Carbon Crush is there. He doesn't have the cooldowns, but Enzo still grabs Melio first.
Oh, that's a big terror cape onto almost all of Rad. BRR PATAPIM are quick to try and follow up on the other side of it. Pokey rolls on forward. Those wing shurikens really are doing some work right here. Another throw? I doubt it at this point. Tanuki just gets off of that one. Unbreakable barrier will get everyone out.
Yeah, they just utilized the fastball team up to get Tanuki into the Hulk's hands without him having to burn the Pharaoh Lunge and potentially get taken down, crossing back to his players. He's still going to be up and about. Melia has been able to finally break around the first corner. Gets a little bit of boulding to hide behind as well as utilizing Pyro Prison to put pressure on the point itself. And Sastroid has the room, the space to come in with the final judgment. And he gets the shield coming on through from Rajaro to keep him safe from Meteor Ram.
The invisible boundary wasn't brought up in time. Destroyed is lost him amidst all of this. Alex tries to get a handle on things here with the fate of both worlds as Pokey disengages, comes in from a new angle, a brand new plan. The plan is likely going to be the dance of the butterflies right here. Look at this in the back line though. Trust me, he's getting a little bit frisky. An attempt to try and cut Rad in half. Crook can't afford to take yet another slice. Meteor M in the tiny corridor. Can it be dropped down upon someone? Yeah, onto Ken. Straight onto their face, but Polly strikes back on the other side. Enzo's getting it done again. Polly's super low. Yeah, the metallic bulwarks onto themselves, but if you're in a corridor with a Hulk, I think I saw this scene in Avengers, and it didn't end well for the non-Hulk parties.
Melio Supernova gets extinguished. Ken with the strange portal directly onto Rad's Punisher so that Sastroid doesn't hold the angle and punish BRR BRR PATAPIM as they come back onto that point itself. And he hasn't been able to build up the final judgment as well through the pressure that they've been able to place the Punisher through. Dark Teleportation has to be used from Fate just to close the distance a little bit sooner so they can take the brawl fight, but no one cleared Tanuki!
Oh, the invisible boundary came up, but it was simply a little bit too late. Tanuki grabbed with the Carbon Crush. Plenty of healing coming through from Alex. Fate of both worlds keeps them sustained. Trust me, tries to drag them to the edge, but it's just a reset bait in the midst of all of this. 1 minute 20 remain for Rad.
Fate needs to build the Eternal Bond. Sastroid's final judgment has to be absolutely gigantic for Rad to be able to have any chance of continuing in this tournament. But the longer they wait, the sooner BRR PATAPIM build their own defensives. Pokey hears noise, thinks that Melly could potentially be flanking around that left side and almost catches the torch.
Enzo loses their Hulk form though. Down to Puny Banner. And Puny Banner's not that good at holding back the tides of Rad. Trust me, he's getting a little bit frisky here. Polly needs a rescue, but it's not quite in time. Ken going to be faced with the huge damage coming out of the Punisher right now. But it seems like everyone's managed to find themselves some good cover. Good knock through there onto Tanuki just to force out that passive, but you won't get much more than that. It's Millie who has to clean it up on the backside. Pokey starts to work the margins, has themselves an ultimate, but you don't want to use it now because you've already lost first. 3 minutes between Rad and Oblivion.
Yeah, I thought about maybe utilizing that ultimate, but the anchor falls with Enzo, and you don't count as contesting in your Dance of Butterfly form. So BRR PATAPIM decide to pack it in and keep it in the back pocket to have for this next fight, taking advantage of the fact that Rad do not have a defensive ultimate. Level 1 crit close to the invisible boundary, but if you can bait it with the Psylocke, Tanuki gets a go-ahead for the last stand, or they just use it now and force Rad to have to stack.
Melio almost got environmentally fragged. Incredibly lucky to have survived this one. Pokey has to be careful around these flame tornadoes. It's getting a little bit hot under the collar over there. Regarding Alex, hoping that there's going to be some healing available. Enzo just has to move their way after Ratatoska. Oh, they can start knocking him back here. Oh, this could be in perfect little bit of stagger onto Enzo. It's going to be an undermanned recontest.
Tanuki is so close to that last stand. Level 1 Crook has the invisible boundary. Rad surely thinking about the Wolverine. He's in. He gets Carbon Crushed.
Oh, the Carbon Crush to shut it down. There's still a last stand to try and play with. On top of Destroyed, and Crook's down as well. What seemed like the greatest opportunity for Rad has been stolen away from them by Tanuki, Polly, and Pokey in concert.
Alex as well, quite literally in concert with the fate of both worlds. They get the Carbon Crush onto Tanuki. They don't get the pickup of the back of it. The Luna keeps him fully healed on up, and the last stand comes on through. We're not quite at last fight for Rad in terms of hopes for the tournament. tournament. Sastroid is going to be coming on out with that final judgment. Rosario going to have the Meteor M2 to try to cover for him. It's going to be up to Polly to shut this one down this time.
It's got to be shut down. Enzo has themselves their World Breaker Hulk, and he's been doing absolute bits with it so far. Destroyed with the final judgment. Could be everything. Rosario wants to try and shut this one down. Can't quite find the cloak and dagger. Can't even find the Wolverine in the midst of all of this. Needs to hide behind the Aegis. A shell of shields, a survivability onion to keep Franklin Castle gunning them down. And while there may be a last stand coming through from the Dance of the Butterflies, it's going to come down to a certified Hulk classic to try and bring Enzo the value. Up against the world destroyed. He's just slapped away by a backhand there. The dueling glove hits the back, and that's going to be a full completion of second as we head to third.
The fortification of Frank Castle from Rad is too good. BRR Patapim can't break through the siege. And we head to third. Supernova in the hands of Melio. Sastroid going to be trying to build up that last final judgment once more. And Tanuki, with only a minute and a half on the clock, all BRR Patapim need is one fight to go their way. And all of the momentum that Rad come through with get drained entirely.
One good fight, bro. Just one good fight. A little bit of free rage gathered off the back of that flame. Melio grabbed by Pokey. Oh man, Pokey's had such a day already. An attempt to try and shut down Fate was grabbed off the map. Manages to disengage from a carbon crush as well. Everything has gone wrong for Rad. They had the momentum, but they did nothing with it.
That wasn't even an ultimate that comes on through from the side of BP. They get to hold on to the last stand and the Dance of the Butterflies. 1 minute remaining. Rad's still not able to swap over to the Doctor Strange. And Enzo throws himself off of the map so that he can get a faster reset.
Yep. Necessary. Won't take long to get back with those incredible leaps. Tanuki just hiding in the corners for now has been discovered. Oh, the Supernova. Great play off the back of the Force Physics there to rescue Melio when he needed it the most. Flame Cyclones in towards the back. They desperately want Ken and they're going to find him, but now Melio has to worry about Enzo on the other side. Pokey coming in through as well. Tanuki can't get themselves the Feral Leap. A double carbon kick from Trust Me to shut down the Rad defense.
Rad still holding on to the final judgment as well as that invisible boundary. It's going to be up to the duelists from the side of BP. They get one more good fight to try and stall this objective all the way from the finish line. Out comes the final judgment. The CC immunity, the bulwark is there. Where's Tanuki?
Approaching too difficult right now. Inside the invisible boundary, Polly gets two. Destroyed and Crook and Pokey's there. A dance macabre, and it's a dancing celebration for BRR Patapim. They may have been stretched to their limits. They may be on their 11th map of the day, but they refuse to lose to Rad, and they take home $70,000.
BRR Patapim are the strongest team in EMEA. The fact cannot be disputed. They come out on top of every single team that Marvel Rivals Ignite has to throw at them. And Polly is the well-deserved MVP. The double pick with the Meteor M to shut down the invisible boundary brought BRR Patapim back into that fight immediately.
Oh, what value there. Just grabbing everybody in with the last stand and making it an easily served up dish for Polly to pound with the meat tenderizer of the Meteor M. And we rarely see Polly being the one to pick up the Wolverine. It's usually Enzo's remit, but showing just how strong they could be on that pick, or Enzo was getting bits done on the Hulk.
I mean, 5. He went down 5 times despite being arguably a walking hitbox. We can have a look now at some of the replay highlights brought to you. Tanuki is going to be the star of the show for a lot of these because that Wolverine was getting work done. To the point that Team Rad actually pivoted to the Invisible Woman, an ultimate that's easier to shut down with that Invis boundary just dropping so early if you can find a one-shot onto the strategist herself. And from there, BRR Patapim had a clear win condition. Every single time the Invis boundary comes up, Tanuki just naps them all out of it.
And if it seems like every fight, you can rely on Pokey for one. It's always going to be at least a 5v5, if not the 6v5, because sometimes Pokey gets punished for it, but the mechanics are just so strong from Pokey, always able to deliver on the Psylocke.
The dance of the butterflies too, just the timing even here coming on through where we saw Rad just have to invest. And it's Pokey too, who's able to find that first pick as we head into third on Rad's own attack, which just immediately stalls out the momentum that they had coming on through, allowing BRR PATAPIM to stabilize their rotation, their defensive positions, so that it's always an overextension that Rad have to make if they want to be able to match wits.
And there they are. BRR PATAPIM, the unsigned org, the underdogs maybe, but they're walking away as your champion with 70,000.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing from that close set, from VP to going to this full adrenaline in. Like it felt amazing, just winning and like this. Like yesterday after the loss against Rad, it was like, oof, this is gonna be tough, but. Yeah, I mean, today was just a roller coaster. It was amazing, actually. Probably the best day of my life.
So, before we even start looking at the match, you guys are an unsigned team. Take the time to just reach out to an org, say what you want to say, so that BRR PATAPIM gets picked up, because the fact that you guys aren't currently signed is an absolute tragedy.
Yeah, I mean... I don't know, we're the best team in the world right now. I think with confidence, when we play like this, we're genuinely the best team in the world. If any orgs want this, you know, like this is the moment. We're champions. We're going to stage 1 in China. It's going to be amazing.
If you look like a big org, hit Tanuki's DMs right now. Like, I need the outline, Tanuki. What makes you decide when it's Wolverine, when it's Black Panther?
I mean, it's just like I just feel it. Like I just feel it in my bones, you know. If I go Panther, it's like I'm gonna obliterate this backline for the entire game. And if I go Wolf, I'm just grabbing the tanks on cooldown. These guys cannot play the game. I get big ults every single time. It's just they're just both made for me, you know. And I just feel it when I need to go them. It's unexplainable, really.
And the last time. The last time that you matched up against Rad came out on top. Were there any changes that you made consciously coming into this series?
I mean, I think yesterday and the day against VP as well, we were really focused on what most teams were playing and not focused on what the team specifically were playing. So we were messing up a lot in the ban phases. And we fixed that against VP today. And I mean, we did the same into Rad. And I mean, going into Rad after qualifying for China, it's just you have so much adrenaline. You're so happy, like you're stomping them. You just feel it, and yeah, then you just win. You know, like yesterday was nerve-wracking, but today it was just we just go for it and we win.
Yeah, speaking of the double series right here, let's talk about how your team managed to go from that best of 5 against VP into this grand finals. How did you guys keep the energy up between the two games? Because I imagine qualifying for China took basically everything you guys had.
I mean, yeah, we were pretty great, but then again, we were like still full of adrenaline from winning, you know? Like we just screamed our lungs out. And then all that was on our mind was just like, we qualified. Let's just have fun. Let's just play, you know? It's just a scrim. It's just training against Rad. Why not? And yeah, it helped us. We had zero stress. We made insane plays. We played so well. I mean, I can only thank it to Pokey against VP, clutching it up, getting 3 kills in the last minute. It was so big. And yeah, it just snowballed into winning as Rad like this. There's no team that can beat us when we have this much energy.
Have you been keeping up to date with any of the regions? Is there a specific team that you guys are looking forward to being able to take on at the International?
Probably some team from America. I mean, we've played against American teams. We know where they're at, and we're pretty confident we could beat them. But if I would have to single out 2, maybe 100 Thieves and Envy as the 2 that we really want to go against, because I think they're just the most interesting teams in other regions right now. I'm not really afraid of Asia or Oceania. I think EU is just on top, to be honest. The 3 teams in the EU are just so good. It sucks that VP didn't get a spot, because we would dominate the LAN for sure.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree. Snooki, you are the reigning champion of Marvel Rivals Ignite EMEA. Do you have any words for the community, for your opponents, for your team, shout-outs for yourself? Floor's yours.
I mean, it's just, I don't know what to say. It feels so unreal being here at 70 years of age. Same with Polly, actually, being so young and just having this moment, it's unreal. To everyone that didn't qualify and that's like not going to China and Europe, I wish you the best. I really hope you qualify for the next, because I think so many teams here actually deserve it. We're really good as a region, and I'm really proud that we're allowed to show it on the LAN together with my team.
Proud of you guys as well.
That's about it.
Yeah, EMEA is going to be well represented by yourselves on BRR BRR PATAPIM. Thank you so much for joining us, Tanuki, our champion. Let's wrap this one up, Mox, as we close the interview. It's just been wonderful talking to all of BRR BRR PATAPIM. That was a fantastic series.
Exhilarating series, an absolute crazy